So
you
yeah,
got, you supposed
like
to be
seriously,
happy
I
you
was
sitting
I
there
made
with
a
kids.
skit
Why
one
you
time
mad?
about
podcast.
a subscription for Air
Yeah,
Forces.
I remember. Yeah.
And when I made it, I was like, no, I actually really want the subscription for Air Forces. Like, if they cut down the price, they're like, okay, look, it's $95 a month for Forces.
Yeah.
That's the discount if you actually subscribe. I would subscribe for Air Forces. I'm not even kidding. This isn't like a
Yeah,
a
no,
joke thing. It's
even like
literally, I would do
50 a month, 2 pairs, or a pair every 2 months,
that. Yeah.
right? It's 100, and then you could be relatively crispy. You won't be as crispy, right? But you get wear.
Yeah, no, because it's
know?
bro. I'm not even joking when I said this. I woke up today and I was like to myself, I have to just go buy 3 boxes of Forces right now.
Yeah.
Because I'm wearing some right now, and I was like, I hate how I'm so worried about ruining them all the time. Like, that's not fun. So I'll have one pair that's like in good condition, one that's in great for like special events, and then like something in between that.
Yeah.
Rose,
What's up, man?
should have been having a long time ago.
I appreciate you having me on.
When I was first starting around late 2016, early 2017. You had Bankrose Productions.
Yes.
You were making PSA videos to artists and people in the music scene. You were talking to your phone, telling people, how to orchestrate themselves as an artist or an entertainer in the Detroit music scene. It's kind of like Gary Vaynerchuk vibes, Gary V vibes.
100% an influence.
I saw what you were doing, completely stole it, and then we became great friends after. It was
Yeah,
like,
man.
Yeah, it was awesome, bro.
Yeah.
Talk about the beginning of your journey as you're a producer, you're a sound engineer. Talk about the beginning of your journey in Detroit hip hop.
In Detroit, so. I guess the start of that would be I got my engineering certifications from the Recording Institute of Detroit, I think in 2015. I have them on my wall. I don't remember the exact day. And there's one person I met there who's still one of my best friends to this day. He's my mentor, right? His name is B, one of the most prolific producers, like still to this day, even after listening to shit a long time. But I went there, it was like a class of 6 people, and we were the only ones who did rap, basically, right? So I'll give sort of a shorter version. So we do that, we do the class. It's a 9-month class. You get 3 certifications once every 3 months. Me and him got real close, right? So after the class was over, he got an internship at Mix Factory. I'm sorry, he got a job at Mix Factory. And he said, you should just come work at Mix Factory. And at the time, I didn't even know Pro Tools, right? Like, so I was like, I'll go up there and whatever. So they gave me an internship because I didn't really know how to record. And then so from being in at Mix Factory, I fully committed to thriving in that environment, right? So like I came in, obviously, imposter syndrome, blah, blah, blah. But the job, any intern job, is you're sweeping the floors, right? You're giving people tea. You're making sure that the hospitality aspect, the cleanliness aspect is taken care of. But nobody really took that seriously, right? Like, except me. And I took that very, very seriously. So went in there. I did that for maybe like 7 months. They threw me a session finally. So while I was cleaning, right, while I was doing all that shit, I'd be there basically, I'd work at Chili's on weekends, 30 hours, and then I'd be there for free Monday through Thursday. 12 hours a day, basically. When I got more comfortable, I would stay there overnight. And Ivy Duncan owns the studio, great engineer. He taught us what was called the 3-minute template test. And basically what it is in Pro Tools is you hit Pro Tools and it starts, and then you have to, from the time it's loading up, make a template start to finish in under 3 minutes. And the reason for that is a very good reason for that, people skip this, is that time is fucking money in the studio, point blank, period. So if you're in a situation where you're in LA or Texas or wherever, you're OT, you don't have your template, you can make it immediately. And the thing about Pro Tools that's good is Pro Tools Waves Auto-Tune. Every studio has those, regardless, right? That's like your starter pack professional studio. So you include the waves, you include the auto-tune, you include that in the template. And once you can make that in 3 minutes, then it doesn't matter, right? So you can go anywhere and you're good. You're good to go. It's your template. So it would be like I'd be cleaning and it'd be just me by myself, basically, cleaning. Everyone would come in and fuck shit up, right? And then I'd come in Monday, Tuesday, I'd probably get the whole bitch done. And then Wednesday, Thursday, I would be in there probably till like 5 in the morning just ripping templates. I'd be making templates. Make them, boom, delete them, boom. Make them, delete them, boom. And I got that shit down to like 220 or some shit, right? So that's what I mean by like took it super dumbass serious, right? Because I didn't know how to record. So I just kind of stuck to the program. And my thought was, right, that everybody was this good, that everybody could do this. And I very rapidly found out that people really couldn't. You know what I mean? Like, so I just took that super serious. Now, in making the template, you learn a lot of things about basic routing. You learn what the plugins are for, the essential shit required for a template, which is compressor, EQ, reverb, delay, right? And then you kind of figure out those functions. Those are the fundamentals, the 4 pillars of mixing, I guess you could say, right? So I figured that out, and then I would shadow engineers. They'd show me shit, and then I would go in after their sessions, save a copy of their session, and just fuck shit up. So I would practice hotkeys. So I would literally be doing shit, the bitch work, the straight bitch work, going in after their sessions, right? And then cutting breaths, right? Like, moving shit, making sure shit was this tempo was all that type of shit, right?
Everything up.
Just cleaning it, right? And like I think Ivy suggested that, you know, but me being the one who was an overachiever in that sense, right? I did it, right? And so I would sit in with engineers, and my buddy B, he would show me shit. He'd bring me in sessions because he was the one like working with a lot of the clients. So I'd sit there and like, so I learned a lot more from the 3 a.m. in the studio when everyone's assed out, ripping templates, going back over mixes, deconstructing mixes, cleaning mixes up. You know, cleaning the mixes up got me really fast. And then obviously the templates got me really fast. Because if you can do those 2 things, you're going to rip. You're going to just go so fast. Like, and the first thing people say about me when I engineer is I'm really fast. I smack the fuck out of that keyboard. And I equate it to like a video game. Like if you're playing a video game, you're not looking at the controller. When you get really good at a video game, you're in the game. You don't even have a controller, right? When you're in the moment, right? You're just aim, shoot, boom, dead type shit. And that's where I am with that, because that's what the repetition does. But it's like 20 functions over the course of, because now I've been a professional for like 8 years, right? 20 functions repeatedly. So anyway, get there, they throw me my first client. He's notoriously a client that rips through engineers, so they didn't set me up for failure, but they were kind of like, haha, we'll see if you're whatever, because I think I was getting a little cocky, you know what I mean? And I killed it, I crushed it, and I became his engineer. Fuck, I'm drawing a blank on his name. He's gonna beat me up. But yeah, and I locked in, and then they started throwing me more and more and more, and then over the course of 9 months, I had like 80% of their clientele. And, you know, from there, we can just skip that to that and to, you know, whatever. There's a lot in between there. But so from there, I left Mix Factory in a huff because I was basically being overworked, underpaid. In hindsight, I didn't treat that situation like with the decorum that I would. This was years ago. It was like 7 years ago or whatever. But I definitely left in a huff, right? Left. And then on my way home, I get 2 important calls, and this is on some like God shit, is that I got a call from Curtis Lamar, who is the founder of CrowdFreak, that I never met, and he wanted me to engineer for Corey because he was going to manage Corey at the time, and I told him like, you know, well, I just literally just quit the studio. I'm on my way home. So the way his brain works, he's like, oh, let's link up, have a lunch, and see if we can do some shit together, because my reputation got kind of known that I was good.
How'd your reputation get known? Like, what artists were you working with that was so significant that it stood out?
Well, at the time, I mean, it was a lot of the word of mouth. I mean, I did the very tail end of like Rocaine, Molly Brazy shit. I did a little bit of Band Gang shit. I'm not 100% sure if I did it there. You know that Actavelli song, that R. Kelly?
Yeah.
I recorded that.
Oh, cool.
And so, you know, like, it was a lot less. Here's a misconception. A misconception is you think you need to record all these big fucking artists. And I mean, obviously that's very fucking helpful if you can lock in. But everybody has a friend who raps, like birds of a feather flock together type shit, right? And so it was just a culmination of 50 artists over time, over that 9 months, who each had a friend. And then they all live close, but you know, in different, on their street, whatever.
So word of mouth was really a thing.
Word of mouth is the thing. Like, flat the fuck out, word of mouth is a thing. Like, you know, I can go deeper into this, but I think a lot of people this is like the dick sucker shit, overly try to get the big artists who already have a name into their system, right? So they could take a picture and be like, see, look, I recorded him. But you're not showing the 20 other people that are paying your bills, which to me doesn't make any fucking sense, because this big artist, especially if like it's kind of like a one-off thing, right? They're not going to recommend you. They're already, once you get to a point, you know this because you're around these big artists, they're already locked the fuck in. Like, it takes so much for someone to come break through and be part of their shit.
Yeah.
Flat out.
It's I think social media real estate is at an all-time high right now, which means like artists are more reluctant to post certain things anymore. So like even supporting somebody, they're less likely to do it now than they were before, because they need to make sure that their popularity is magnified at all time. Their exposure is magnified at all times.
Right.
Giving it up to somebody else right now is like, it seems scary for people to do.
Yeah.
And even at that time, it was still scary. But I remember birthday posts; those kind of disappeared. It's like I can't even tell my boy happy birthday on Instagram anymore because it's gonna take away from what I'm doing. So
Yeah.
even with producers or anybody, it's like they're not gonna showcase who they're working with if it doesn't make them look bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, you can make a good argument for that. But I would also make a better argument of like support the people who are putting money in your pocket.
Yeah.
And because all of that adds up, and it really depends on who you're trying to be. But there is like, the phrasing is the Machiavellian mindset, right? Where it's like, I'm only going to do things for a strategic chess move.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, that's good. You should keep that in mind. But don't look at someone's post, right, and not like it specifically because you don't want to be a dick sucker. Because everyone wants to be the man, but everyone who's the man has 20 other people around them who help propel them up. And you don't get that by not showing love.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
It's something that you can possibly, like a mindset you can adopt, because sometimes when you do show love, you see how the person you're showing love to turns. And it's almost like, no, dude, I'm showing you love because I rock with what you're doing, not because I need something in return.
Right.
And so the person that they're showing love to might be thinking to themselves, like, well, you're doing this for this and this and this. So I think that's part of why dick sucking is even a thing. Obviously, you don't want to seem like you're trying to take something from that person, or some people have an ego problem. They don't want to support somebody because it makes them look kind of like, I don't know what word it would be, but
well, it's dick sucker. We stamp that in the city, right? But it's like, I mean, and I understand that, but that's also a mindset problem, right?
Yeah.
Because if someone reposts me, right, my first thought shouldn't necessarily be, oh, they're trying to get something out of me. Yeah. Even though maybe they are. Because some people do use tactical giving.
I've seen people do it to me all the time.
A lot, of course. A lot of people do that. And and that's what I have done that, but that was a small part of the reason I crashed out as well. You know what I mean? Where it's like, it didn't feel right. It didn't feel right to do it, right? But you check these people, right? But it's like, just because they post you, like I repost everyone all day with no expectations. You know what I mean?
So I personally have experienced it where I promote comedians on my page every week. I've been doing it for a long time. And I remember at a certain point I would tag certain comedians, and then at a certain point they would stop even like liking the photo or commenting anymore. In the beginning they would, and then later towards the end they wouldn't. And I think they thought, oh, what's the angle behind this?
Right.
Or like I said, like we were saying, like why dick sucking is kind of a thing where the artist might feel like you're trying to use them, but you're right. You should get rid of that mindset, though. Like, you should get rid of the mindset that I'm not going to support this guy because it's going to make him feel like I'm trying to get something from him.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could make an argument that if you're giving them any feeling, that's better than none. But at the same time, if you are doing that for that reason, right, and they put their block on it, it's not going to work. I mean, that people don't generally make connections off reposts anyway. Like not to the extent that you can take, like very rarely.
You just got to get creative, man. If you're going to support your friend and you're worried about hurting your page by doing it, by like, oh, it's not going to be about me, like find a way to make it where it makes sense for both ends. You know what I mean? Like, just find a way. If you get creative with helping your friends, it works.
Well, I'll tell you the selfish reason that I post people, right? So like what I do, like I just make sure I take, because there always is a selfish, I'm not sitting here saying I'm a benevolent fucking person. I'm still a businessman, right? But when I have my clients, right, and I'm recording them and I just take a pic with them, even if they're the same client over and over and over again, and I'm throwing them 10 in my reel and I'm posting, 2 of those posts a week, it shows a potential client he's working.
Yes.
They're assuming that they're paying me whatever my price is that I'm posting. You know what I mean? And so it's like if he's working with 20 artists a fucking week constantly, maybe he knows something. Maybe he's good. Maybe he's good enough to consistently be having these people.
Well, yeah, that's 2 different sides, though. There is the business world, right? And then there's friends, and then somewhere in between you got the friends in the business world. Like they collide. It's like those 3 circles, and that one that's in the circle that's in the middle. Yeah. So it's interesting. It's an interesting balance to have friends in the industry, and then people who are just straight up business. And being more strategic with the people who are just business related. Once it comes to friends, that's where it's like a tougher conversation, or people you're trying to support even, or people you like, whatever. It just becomes a tougher conversation when it comes to support, because there's no real strength in the infrastructure in Detroit music right now where you really feel that there's a connection between everybody, or that there's a connection between everybody who wants to succeed, or even people who are in groups. Even sometimes you'll look at certain groups and their members and be like, are you guys really tied in? Like, you get confused right now because of the way people promote themselves on social media. So I even find that struggle with like balancing out friends and music in the industry. My whole thing is, sometimes you really got to be like, dude, I just want to fucking help this person because I fuck with this person, and I want to be with this person when we're in the entertainment industry and we're dominating in the future. Like, I want this to be the dude that I trust when we do succeed, because there's not many people you can fucking trust.
100%.
And I have a good time with this person, so I want him to be with me when I'm successful and when I blow up.
For sure.
Like right now, if I blew up and became a millionaire, or if I became like no jumper status where I had like the whole thing, I'd be like, bro, I want Rose on this bitch all the time. I want Primo beats on this bitch all the time. You know what I'm saying? I want, like, just naming people that I really Nick. I want Nick to be the fucking guy who's making sure everything's going on.
Yeah.
I want the people be with that I actually fuck with to be around me when it's happening.
Right.
But if you're looking at everything like a business, you kind of take away all that. You take away the fun aspect. You take away like what it is to have chemistry with people and what it is to be an entertainer and going through the entertainment industry together with somebody. Like, that's part of the fucking fun of it, or else we're just fucking working a job basically and we don't even know it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing as, like, you know, what's the old adage is like, all of the money is pointless if there's no one to share it with. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's like, who gives a fuck about the Lambo if you're in it alone? And there's that, you know, I'd rather cry alone in my Lambo than whatever. But the people you described, including myself, though, because you don't have to say a name, but think of a person you love that's not doing shit. You won't have them on this podcast. And it's not because you don't love them. It's because they don't have their own motion, right? So it's like when I just post people, right? It's like I'm doing it specifically. I mean, obviously it helps me, but I'm doing it just because I'm like, either that's cool content, or I worked on that, or I fuck with bro, and I hit the button and I put the phone down, and that's that. And it's like, if the people see it, they fuck with it. Maybe he'll get something, maybe he won't. Maybe I'll get something, maybe I won't, but that doesn't really matter. But you, right, especially at the level you're at, and that you've busted your ass to get here, grinding crazily, you don't owe anybody anything. Like, even me, right? Like, you tried to get me on here like 4 times, and I refused because I was fucked up in X, Y, and Z, but you still reached out, and that's real ass shit, right? Which is why I very much appreciate this right now, because even though we're friends, you did not have to do this, right? And it's one of those things where, like, you're only going to support the people who have motion, because you know that I got knocked on my ass, but that's not going to be me forever. So you're going to give me a push, but you're not going to give me a career. You know what I mean?
If I could, I would.
No, I know, but the problem is the people who require coattailing of someone else to give them a career don't deserve the career.
You're simply just a person who had a social media following that was high. And social media does make people aware of your success and where you are and what's going on and keeping updated with you. Plus, you had success in the city. Mm-hmm. And when you do lose social media, you do lose a part of everything, right?
So you lose like a lot. People that this is the blessing now, because I'm getting out of it. I'm on and up now, but I went through basically 2 years of pure hell, right? Like, I had to burn off parts of myself that I thought I liked that had to go in order to bounce and recover. Like, I almost lost my girlfriend, which means I almost lost my kids, and I definitely assed out financially. I'm still kind of fucked up. And then, you know, the social media aspect, the blessing that I got from this, though, I don't recommend you do it, but I know with 100% certainty who fucks with me. Mm-hmm. Because there were a lot of people that, when I was about to leave Bankrose, looked at me in the face and said, I'll be there. And they ghosted me. You know what I mean? Which hurt a lot at the time. It still does. I'm not going to pretend it doesn't. And, you know, I really try, especially because, you know, this, whatever, I'm not going to say names. I'm not going to get overly aggressive or whatever, but like, that hurt. But it hurt because I had an expectation that they said what they meant. Right? And it's like, and then when you lose that, you really truly see who's there for you and who's there to just eat. Because all of those people, they just shifted over to the next person who was going to put money in their pocket or put popularity in their hands. So I asked out, and you were one of my first 100 followers, right? Like, and you reached out to me. You reached out to me, and you actually got on my ass on some like brother type shit where you're like, whatever you need, I'm gonna support you. Restart your Instagram. I'm gonna help you XYZ. So again, I'm very grateful for that. But you were, so that speaks to your character and your belief in me and all of that. But there were people that I very much expected to be the same way, and they absolutely were not.
Yeah.
But again, it's a blessing because now I know exactly who's there for me. So now as this rebuilds, right, I know exactly, because they're starting to come back around. When you look at me in the eyes and you give me an excuse, like, I'm gonna look straight through that bullshit and you're out of my life. And a lot of shit that happened at Bankrose, I know we jumped topics or whatever, but a lot of shit that happened at Bankrose at the end was a lot of, what would I say? A lot of promises with no intention of them being kept. Even on my end, like it got pretty bad.
Well, you got to look at the famous movie title, man. Money talks, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, money can take people wherever the hell they need to be. Like, money can control people, basically.
For sure.
And it can make you not understand the bigger picture because you might need that money now. You might be like, I need it now, so I don't see the future. And they might be like, well, to go with Rose means I'm risking my money, I'm risking my security, I'm risking what I have now. So I had a friend who kind of did that, and it kind of shocked me, the outcome, because I didn't think it was going to go that way. But he left the studio. He was working with big artists.
Yeah.
Everything was going great. I thought he could leave the studio and start his own thing, and he went to leave the studio and start his own thing, and it didn't really prosper. It didn't go in that direction. So even if you have a great established role somewhere in music or whatever, sometimes that security is hard to leave, man. It's hard to leave security.
Yeah, so I will say this, right? Everything you just said is 100% true, because it's like, I understand why they made the decision. I don't think they were even necessarily wrong. Like, from a logical standpoint, of course, it's like Rose asked out. He doesn't have the page anymore. He has to start from nothing, right? And he's and we started Bankrose basically together with some of those people. So they're like, why would I risk restarting everything when I have responsibilities?
Yeah.
But that's not what I have the issue with. The issue that I had with was they told me, I will go with you. That was the issue. It wasn't that, because I understand why they stayed.
Yeah, but if they go with you, they're taking the risk of losing security.
No. But they told me they would.
So the words.
They told me to my face they would.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like, just say you're not coming. Like, tell me no, and then we'll go our own ways, and that's fine, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, and because I can only respect that. It's like, of course, I'm a father myself, bro. It's like, I understand.
I've always, like that's where the money talks conversation comes into play. If you had said to them, hey, I got 10,000 up front, whatever the hell the numbers is, or anything up front to make people feel secure, they're going to take it. But security is a huge thing in every decision. I have friends that work regular, miserable jobs that will not quit their jobs.
For sure.
And they're like, oh man, if I quit, what about my family? I don't know what's going to happen. I'm like, you're right. You never know what could happen, because I have seen people quit bad jobs and then they ended up in a worse position, but I've also seen a lot of people quit bad jobs and end up in a way, way better position. Right. I'm one of those people where, like, everything I ever quit, every job I ever quit, better things happened for me.
For sure.
But
you busted ass. You busted ass, though. That's the thing. It's like, don't get it twisted. Like, if you're going to go out there and say, I will not work for anybody, then you have to work to 120 fucking hours a week. Because a lot of people go and they leave and they still have that worker mentality, and they're standing around with their business, standing in their empty business. Like, where are all the people? Yeah. It's like, well, then you got to get online. You got to get the people. Like, that's the thing, too, where it's like, all, workers think that they deserve, X amount that the boss makes, but they didn't factor in risk. They didn't factor in the strategy. They didn't factor in the time it took to even get to a point where you could just hit a button and they give you money and people come in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's very much survival of the fittest. So yes, it's very scary to be an entrepreneur, but you have to know what you're coming into, right? And that means that you have to have skill sets. I mean, if you follow your trajectory, I mean, you started from comedian to music reviews to this podcast. It wasn't like instantly you were fucking big. It was
music videos. Yeah.
Yeah, music. Yeah, that was the start. Yeah. So it's like,
well, yeah, I was shooting music videos in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
And then I gradually, I don't know what I was doing. I was just shooting music videos, and then I was working at a pizza place forever.
Yeah.
And then I shot a music video, and luckily Scoop was in one of them, so that kind of helped launch things. And I was already I already had built the technical ability to create a good product.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I'm sorry to say, but Detroit music videos were not looking that good at that time. So like I had put something out that nobody had seen.
Yeah, that red car is infamous.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah,
man?
no,
Like
that's
I
infamous.
did something and people were calling me about everything I was doing. People were taking my editing techniques. I was like, whoa, I really did something here. So, you know, it took a long time. And then what happened after that? Shooting music videos forever, doing comedy at the same time. And then I get into music reviews. That whirlwinds into its own thing. And then podcasting emerges from that. But every single thing I did was all rooted in the ability that I naturally am an entertainer.
Yes.
And that I've been doing it for so long, it's naturally integrated in me. A lot of times I'm seeing new people start podcasts. They're missing two huge fundamental things for why their podcast is never going to work.
Mm-hmm.
One, they're not involved in the culture at all. I was shooting music videos since 2012. I was heavily involved in the Detroit music videos since 2017. So I'm at the events. I'm at the birthday parties. I'm at the funerals. I'm at every single video shoot for features and all these things. I'm doing everything. I'm at studios where nothing comes out of what I'm doing, but I'm soaking in everything just because I'm a part of it and being there. And then the second thing is a lot of these people don't have natural entertainment ability. They just suck. Like they just don't have skills. They don't have communication skills. They don't have the awareness. They're not entertainers. So when you're missing the culturistic aspect of starting something that's heavily culturally based and you're not a part of the culture, that's destined for failure. And then two, you're not naturally an entertainer.
Right. That's us definitely if they want to follow your blueprint of, you know, being in front of the camera. And excuse me, sorry. So that's I always say this, like the purpose of life is to be the best version of yourself, and a lot of people spend a lot of time trying to be shittier versions of someone else.
Yeah.
And so it's like if you don't want to be an entertainer, why are you doing a podcast? Like really, because it's like, you know, you got to really like, and it's fine to try all these things out, but it's like there's a couple things. I mean, even prior to you in that video with Scoob, like how many years were you video editing that people didn't see? Because obviously to get in that moment where you were even able to make that happen, you say, look, I don't necessarily believe in luck, but it was an opportunity was destined to fall into your lap. Right?
I would say I got lucky because I met somebody who was about to explode.
Right.
And then like my product got seen by somebody whose product exploded, his brand exploded. So that was the lucky strike. And you're right, I know what you're gonna say, but all the times you worked, like who's that football player who says it the best? He says luck is 99% effort and that 1% of that opportunity arising for the luck to happen in the first place. It's
something like luck is preparation meets opportunity. Exactly. So if it didn't work with him, it was going to work with someone else. It might have not have happened. Well, it definitely wouldn't have happened in the exact same way. And if you really think about it, bro, that might not even have been the best case scenario for you. Like if you want to multiverse it, you know what I mean?
But I always think about that.
But the point is that you spent, I mean, how many years were you spending doing videography shit prior to that anyway, to even get to that skill level?
Yeah, that's a good point. Technically speaking, I've been holding a video camera since I was 12, so that's 8 plus 10, you know what I'm saying? We're talking about almost nearly 20 years of me actually doing stuff with entertainment.
Yeah.
I used to take my mom's video camera, shoot with that, upgraded video cameras, got computers, boom, 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 took it to the professional side of things. Boom, 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 boom. So it's kind of embarrassing to say. It's been about a 20-year process.
No, listen,
dude,
bro.
Some people are doing this shit in 2 years, bro. That's why.
Yeah, but you can't compare yourself to. Everyone has their own deck of cards. You can sit around the table wishing you had that hand, but that doesn't change the fact you have these cards.
It's true, but when you see YouTubers are like, I just bought a camera like 2 years ago, bro. And then I started filming like, you know, skits in my backyard, and all of a sudden now I'm living on a yacht. I'm like, damn, 2 years, goddamn.
So they might have a different, more valuable skill set in that space.
Yeah.
And that's the thing though too. But everyone's path is different. Like, you know, there's a phrase, we're gonna have a lot of phrases where it's what is it? It's comparing is the like companion of suffering or something. Yeah. I butchered that. But it is that. It's like, you know, you definitely need blinders on with this shit, and you have to triple down on. That's why passion matters, right? That's why obviously if you've been holding a camera for 20 years, since you were 10, you like it. You know, and a lot of people do shit because they think it's cool. Like this music shit looks awesome. It's like, oh, I could just, you know, smoke weed, make music, fuck hoes, like sell dope, like gang, all this shit, and live this lifestyle. And all I have to do is say some shit because the thing about that too is people think music is easy, but everyone who is somebody, they have an element that they make it look easy. Don't get that shit twisted. They make the shit look easy, right? But so they have the skill set in the music creation, and then it blooms from that. But that they want this lifestyle. But the way they get the lifestyle is not correct with who they are as a person, right? Which, again, it's best version of yourself. And the first step is finding who you are. And I was blessed to find, when I was 14, that music gave me something. And I didn't even know what it was. Because, you know, when I was a kid, I mean, being a teenager is hard as fuck. Like, if you're a teenager watching this is, I don't care what anyone says, these are the worst years of your fucking life. Flat the fuck out. That's my opinion. At least it was for me. But so it's like, you know, I was just lost and drifting and smoking weed and playing Xbox, basically.
Sounds pretty easy.
Yeah, but you know, then misery comes from that because I had no purpose, direction, or any of that. And then I found drums. You play drums.
Yep.
That was the first thing that I fell in love with, and I was naturally good at that. And drums was the first thing where you put the sticks in my hand, and 1 month later, I was ripping it. Right? So it's like I was naturally good at that and I liked it. And if you're naturally good at the thing you like that's the thread you need to pull on.
Yes.
You know, a lot of people are out here trying to figure out who they're going to be like in 20 years or whatever, or what people will hope people think about them, or have this ego and status, like I said, the bitches, the money, the drugs, the whatever. But it's like it has to be rooted on a skill set. You know, in this entertainment industry, it's like you can either be on the production side or like, you know, or on like the entertainment side facing the camera. Like you can make content or you can be in front.
Well, that's why all of the pieces have to come together when you're going to enter the entertainment scene, because, you know, talent combined with a proper ego, combined with a proper discipline, combined with, again, doing it because you love it, the passion behind it. There's a lot of contributing factors to how to become successful, but a lot of them are naturally within you.
Correct.
Like, they have to be things that you actually want to do and desire, not just to do it because it's a strategic marketing plan, right?
Right.
So all the stars have to be aligned for it to really work out for an artist.
Yeah.
You can create a lot of that stuff though. Like discipline is something you can work on.
For sure.
If you have a lot of stuff going on for you as an artist, but you're lacking discipline, luckily you can work on that end.
Yeah.
If you have maybe you need a skill set you need to work on that's a part of your music, you can go work on that part of that skill set.
Yeah.
Talent's a little bit harder, like natural talent, the it factor. It's a
Yeah.
little bit like that's kind of, I think that's a real thing in my opinion.
It is
like
absolutely 100% a real thing.
those guys kind of are like they get that savant kind of treatment where it's like,
Right.
oh, you got this, like you just
Right.
that's it, you got it, like
For sure.
it's there for you. So, you know, all the things have to come to a line for now is the only time in history where a lot of those things don't have to be in a line for you to become successful, because social media gave so many people opportunity that a viral moment can give you the same amount of stardom as somebody who's been working their ass off in all of those categories for years.
But they can't keep it.
They can't keep it.
They can't keep it. You know, it used to be everyone has their 15 minutes. Now everyone has their 30 seconds.
Unless you're smart enough to know how to market it.
But it's not smart. It's all the shit we talked about.
Yeah.
It's like when your moment with the car, I'm gonna call it the red car moment. When
Yeah.
you had the red car moment, it was 10 years of that in preparation for that
Yeah.
to happen. And then when other people came, you knew how to do it,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, yes, people attempting to go viral, I don't think that's the move. Like, it's slow, steady growth, right? It's like, do this same shit for 1 year with no expectation of growth to just get the skill set. And if you're that's why I always say consistency is the most important thing. And then consistency in what? You know, consistency. I mean, a lot of artists, they don't make music. Like, that's the craziest thing to me is that artists don't make music. It's like, if you can't even make music, like, fuck going to the studio, like, record on BandLab, do something, anything. People are, you know, whatever. And now I'm just bitching. But it's one of those things where, like, yes, you can work on your discipline, but you have to remove your ego from these things, because a lot of people spend all of their time in their mind in the future of who they're going to be and none of the time working on what it takes to get there.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing, though. And again, I'm going to just keep reiterating the best version of yourself, where they can look at someone like you and they'd be like, I want to be him. So they do everything you do, but they're not you. But they're, you know, and I'm not saying don't do that, but what I am saying is be prepared to pivot into yourself when you notice something,
Yes.
right? Because like with me in engineering, you know, I was rapping for as long as I was playing drums. I've been rapping for 17 years. I am not a fucking amazing artist like I am now. It took over the last 3 years, my music is really fucking good, but it took me 12 years to get really good at music, and I thought I wanted to be a rapper, and there's a multitude of reasons that I understand now why I sucked, but it took me 12 years to get there, right? But on my road to trying to be a rapper, it led me to engineering, which is what I was naturally good at. And the whole reason I got into engineering was I had the mindset that I think people should adopt is I called it the dishwasher to Drake mentality, where people think they're going to drop a song and go from being a dishwasher at Applebee's to being the biggest superstar in the world, right? And it rarely ever works that way. And when it does, people crash the fuck out. Like it's not sustainable most of the time. So my thought process was, well, how do I stop cooking? How do I stop cooking 30 hours a week? Well, I'm going to try to find a way to make money within the structure that I want to be in. And I think that's one of the first steps. Like people are afraid to make that step across the line.
Yeah.
But that's the first step across the line.
Yeah,
to me.
It's really playing to your strengths, right? So when you figure out what you're actually good at, just keep going into that direction. You know
Correct.
what I'm saying? A lot of people do obviously divert and they get distracted very easily. Like I know a lot of rappers are like, I want to start self-engineering and self-producing, and I also want to shoot my own music videos, and I also want to start my own podcast, and you're doing all these things. It's like you're actually kind of distracting yourself from becoming the best at that one particular area. So you need to pay attention to that and focus on that. So play to your strengths, like you're saying. It's like you wanted to be involved in the music scene or the entertainment scene. When you got involved in it and tried things, you figured out which area you were passionate about and stuck with it and stayed consistent with it. You know what I mean?
So, and I'll even go this far too. When I was engineering, I also have I've made beats when I was at Mix Factory. I've made beats at that point for 5 years, right? I shot the Vindictive video with Rocky Bad, me and my buddy Ben. The reason it looks good though is not me. It's my buddy Ben who edited it. So shout out to Ben. That's a whole other story in and of itself. But so I was shooting music videos, basically as an assistant, making beats, engineering, rapping, and then as time went on, I was like, I'm really good at engineering to a point where I'm like a fish in water, right? This other shit is hard. You know what I mean? Like I can make beats, but I'm not like Primo, bro. Like I can't, or Helava. You can't, like a great producer, you can be like, I'm sorry, a professional producer. You can say, I want this type of record, and they can make it. A great producer, a great professional producer can also do that, but it still sounds like them, right? Which is why like Helava is so amazing, or like Zaytoven, or like name any Timbaland, right? Is that it's that record, but it still sounds like they made it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the mark of a I guess genius level high end producer. But anyway, but I was doing that. I was not that good at beats, because you could be like, hey, can you make me this? And I'd be like, no. This is what I have. Do you like this? They're like, no. And I'm like, well, then I don't have it. Go find. You know what I mean? So, but with engineering, like the shit that most people find difficult, and I actually had to learn this at Bankrose, is the things that I thought were just easy, or the things that I inherently knew without even verbalizing, right? That was just in me, that when someone asked, I'm like, why are you even asking that? Like, obviously it's this. And I had to learn that not everyone is me, right? And so it's one of those things where it's like, so I stopped shooting videos, I stopped rapping, and I stopped making beats, and I tripled down on the thing. But let's go back, like from the time I put drumsticks in my hands to Bankrose, at that moment, maybe 2 years into Bankrose, that was over a decade. Yeah, over a decade. So it's like the path that you walk, like I said, you have to make sure you pivot. Because like I said, I thought I wanted to be a rapper, and I was rapping like 10 years before I even found engineering. But it's like you pull on that thread of passion and love of something, and something that gives you something. And then as you walk down that road, opportunities unveil themselves for you. New situations arise.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? So
yeah, I've seen it with people to this day, and I'm still seeing it. You know, I think I forgot which artist came on here, and he said he was shooting music videos, and he's actually like a successful rapper now. I can't believe I forgot who
is
that
it
was.
Sterl?
Sterl God used to shoot music. Oh no, it was from Bang Gang, Javar. Bang Gang.
Oh, I didn't know he shot videos.
Yeah, he used to shoot music videos. He has like a music video production. I don't know if that's what he started with, but he had it, and he was like he was involved in music and video production. And it's like he was seeing both worlds, and I guess he played more towards the strengths of like, oh, I'm actually really finding success with rap. But you would never think Bang Gang and Javar shot music videos. You would never like look at him and be like, that guy shoots music videos, or even the way he talks or acts. So he played to his strength with scamming and with making rap music.
Right.
And then he combined the two.
Right, but sometimes you're not a good scammer. Like, you know what I mean? Sometimes you're not a good rapper. And that's fine, though. You know, like I said, I still make music, but it's not for the intention of even putting... I really make music for myself, genuinely speaking.
I make comedy skits still, and, like, they didn't really ever take off, but I have to do it because it is, like, my main passion is entertaining people.
Yeah.
Like that. It's kind of like what you're saying. It's like I realized like I wanted to keep pushing comedy, but then I was like, okay, let's get to that. Like, let's continue to do that, and like, you know, like what's it called? Smaller doses, like giving that people to less people, giving that out less, but to focus on the podcast because that's what's working right now.
Right.
And then staying consistent with the comedy, but not really pushing it all the way.
Yeah.
It'll eventually come together when it needs to come together.
Discipline.
Yeah, exactly.
Discipline.
It sucked, man. It was hard. It was like,
Yeah.
yeah, bro, I love making skits. My boy pulled me to the side. He's like, look, bro, the skits are funny and shit for real. But he's like, just go into the fucking podcast full throttle. Don't distract yourself with anything else. So I started doing that, but then I started getting depressed because I was like, dude, that was like my outlet, making comedy.
Yeah.
Because I started getting fixated too on the numbers too after a while. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm only getting like 500 likes and like 50, 60, 100 comments. I was like, Jack Funny's getting like 2,000 comments.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, all right, man, like it's not like in high demand to see my skits. So I did put it to the side, but then yeah, I did start feeling more and more like suppressed, like podcasts are cool and shit, man, but I do love fucking skits.
Yeah.
So now I sprinkle it in, like I'll do to myself. I go like, if I'm not podcasting that day, or if I'm not releasing a podcast, I'm either making a skit or making a PSA.
Yeah.
And now I'm at the point where I really don't give a fuck if it gets 20 or 30 or 40 comments. If it gets 30 or 40 comments, I'm like, yeah, that's, people think it's funny. That's all I
that's a
needed.
great place to be, though, genuinely, because it's like now, because you have to think about it like this, right? It's like where, like, you were a videographer and then you worked a regular job, and now you do the thing that you fucking love as a side hustle, right? And the wheels keep turning. The wheels keep turning because it's like maybe you don't like podcasting as much as you you don't like podcasting as much as you do this, but this is working for you.
Yeah.
But then you push this, and it's like it's not like this is intolerable. It's like
no,
you know what
cool.
I mean?
And what I also learned to do with the podcast is start integrating my comedy to it. Because
bro, you do your skits, the fucking damn, what was it? The cap, like all the times you call people out on their cap and that's again, that's what makes you you, though. That's why you're gonna be hyper successful even beyond this point, is because of all of these things and your need to be funny, the need to entertain, the need to make people laugh.
Yeah.
It bleeds into this because that's the type of content that other like super professional straight-laced people who are like, this is how you do a podcast, is like, they're like, don't do it because you'll offend blah blah blah, but you're like, no, it's funny.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like you do it for you, though. And because you're doing it for you, your personality gets integrated into it, and that's something that people can feel even through social media. Like, people are not dumb. Like you can kind of cheese some bullshit, but it's almost like you don't 100% know when it's bullshit, but you 100% know when it's real, like generally speaking. Like there's a spine thing hits where it's like, oh, there was love in that. It's like mom's cooking, bro. It's like you can get the same ingredients, but the love's not there.
I agree, but
are you okay? That was beautiful. I'm gonna make you cry. I thought you were gonna cry.
That was hilarious.
Yeah.
Let's take 2 minutes real quick, and then we'll come back on. Oh, then we'll get to actually the Rose story.
Okay, yeah, my bad. We derailed.
No, we're good. Give me 2 minutes. And we talked about Mix Factory and stuff like that. Where are you from, though?
Downriver. I grew up in Southgate.
What's that? Like city?
It's a city.
I've never been to Southgate.
It's a dog.
Oh, okay. Southgate. Where's
Southgate,
that?
yeah. So Downriver, you know where like Wyandotte is?
It's all like the Spanish people?
No.
Is there like a Mexican like cult over there somewhere?
Mexican cult?
Yeah.
Well, they didn't get me. I don't know, man. I haven't heard about
like
them.
A bunch of Mexican guys.
They're keeping it low key, man.
I thought.
No. Downriver is the opposite. It's south of Detroit. So
you grew up around there, and
suburbs, dead ass middle class. Yeah.
When did you know music? So drums is the first thing that you come across that helps you understand that you want to get involved in entertainment, right?
Well, in music.
Music, right?
Not even necessarily entertainment. Just
did
music.
you know you wanted? I don't think your plan ever was to be in entertainment, right?
No.
Yeah.
No.
What was the play before music?
Nothing. That's why I say I was hyper depressed. The plan was keep drinking out of my parents' liquor cabinet.
Fire days.
That was the plan, and keep playing Xbox and hope this works out. Hope I could get sweet at Halo 2.
You were drinking young too, right?
Yeah, I started at like 14. I didn't really amp it up until maybe 18.
Yeah, it was about the same thing. I was about 14.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just never. My first case of beer was Newcastle's. It was actually a good fucking call. Whoever got that for me.
I was thinking of like Old English or no. I was thinking of some cheap ass beer. Are Newcastle's good?
Newcastle's are really good.
Oh
dude.
Yeah. My first drink was Mike's Hard. It was Green Apple, and the second I drank that shit, my brain was like more. More. This doesn't burn. I mean, it's a Mike's, but I was 14.
That's like the most pussy drink to start off with.
Hey, man, listen. I amped it up after. I got into my pro stage with drinking.
What was the escalation? Well, how'd you find your new bracket of quality beer and drinks?
I mean, just trying shit and drinking.
What was take us through the levels? Like, we'd start off with Mike's Hard, then what was the next drink?
Oh my god. So, well, I mean, I was 14, right? So I wasn't like heavily drinking. I would say maybe like 16, 17-ish, like with just parties, right? Like we'd grab whatever someone's brother could get us. And then when you have like this mishmash of your parents' liquor cabinet and whatever his older brother brought, then you try all this shit, right? So I ended up really liking Grey Goose in those days. And then I found vodka just made me weird. I would either throw up or cry or profess my love to someone and then throw up and cry. So I stopped that. And then as I got older, like, here's a fun fact. If you mix Captain Morgan, regular Captain Morgan with 7-Up, it tastes like chocolate. Wow. Did you know that?
Oh.
Yeah. Or at least it did when I was 19. So from there, like, you know, then my buddies started getting in college, and then I lived at my buddy's house basically for a small amount of time, and we were drinking, you know, hard liquor, all that shit. And like we were 19, but their parents would, you know, they would let us drink or whatever. We were partying in that house, so they would kind of hook us up anyway. But like, yeah, so then I kind of moved into tequila. Tequila is still like my thing, and then Hennessy, I really fucking like Hennessy. But it got to a point, like, really with, like, beers are sort of like the in the middle thing of like, because it got to a point where I could walk around with a fifth, like, no chaser, no none of that. Like, the liquor stopped burning. And it even got to a point where I didn't like to drink it if it didn't burn, because then I would go too off the rails way too quick. Yeah. You know, because that snap with the hard liquor tells you it's doing something. You know, and it hits you, you could moderate it a little better.
Yeah, man, getting that 151 Bacardi, I think.
Oh, God, I only did that a couple times. That shit is just Windex, bro.
Yeah, I love that shit. That was my shit, man.
It's crazy.
I started off with beer first, and then I thought like Miller High Life was like the fucking beer of all beers.
Oh, I did that too. Yeah,
you thought Miller High Life was fire?
Yeah, I went through a little phase. Yeah. The champagne of beers.
Yeah, I really did think it was. I was like, this is actually really good. And
it's the champagne of moose piss.
Yeah, that stuff is not good, man. And then my dad had a cabinet too, Malibu's. All that shit. My dad went to the war. Like he was a translator in the war and shit. And then
in the Malibu War?
No, in Iraq.
Oh, that's different.
He left like 2 humongous boxes of liquor. Because he owned a liquor store and shit.
Yeah.
2 humongous boxes of liquor. When he came back from his fucking tour or whatever, he was like, what the fuck? There's nothing. And I filled up all the bottles with water and shit. I was like, I fucking filled up like a Hennessy bottle with water. You gotta see through it. He's like, what are you trying to accomplish? I added olive oil to make it like tinted. I was like, man, I gotta figure this shit out. All I would do for weeks and weeks and weeks was sit on a couch. I had a Black and Mild, and I would drink beer and liquor and listen to Tupac and Biggie tracks off my TV. Yeah. That's all I would do for like weeks and weeks. Yeah. And I remember I used to keep getting these strokes of insight from myself that's like, dude, you're going to be huge one day, so you don't really got to work right now. Because it's going to fucking happen anyway. Like, that's how I had no, How
old were you?
I was like 16.
Okay, yeah.
And I legitimately was like, dude, who cares when you do it? You're gonna be fucking rich one day, so just chill out right now.
Well, you had a twinge of guilt.
Yeah, I did.
That's good. That little twinge of guilt. Some people don't have that.
It's important to have it because when you know you're supposed to be doing something and you're not doing it, it's like it's a reminder for you. Like, but my ego was so intense that I was like, dude, I could fucking blow off the next 20 years and I'll be fine. Yeah. Like, that's legitimately how I thought.
Well, that ego, that confidence ended up being more prolific, I think, than anything. It wasn't false. It proved itself to not be false.
Or like you said earlier, maybe it just put me like in a direction that makes me think everything is amazing, when if I had went in a different direction, everything would have been more amazing. Dude, okay, look,
for
you
sure.
know how people always go like, I don't ever have regrets, or I don't ever look at my past and be like, oh, I have regrets. I never have regrets. I don't have regrets. Everybody's a fucking liar when they're saying they don't regret stuff. Everybody has regrets, and everybody kind of wishes they could go back in time.
Right.
So
right.
I'm not afraid to say, yeah, dude, if I could go back in time, I would, because there was a certain point where I stopped making conscious decisions. And when you're not making conscious decisions anymore, it's like you're almost like a zombie just living a life.
Well, that's NPC shit, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So when people say like, oh, you if you could go back in time, yeah, I would. I would go back in time to when I was younger and I knew I could do more with my life, and I just decided not to.
Now, here's the thing about that, all of that statement, because I am one of those people who are like, I don't have regrets. But what I really mean is that, yes, there are things that I wish I didn't do, but if I went back and corrected them, then I would not do that, which is sort of different. Maybe it's the same thing.
What about drinking? Do you think you would go back in time and tell yourself to not drink?
No. I mean, because it like there were a lot of close calls, like me with my DUI and shit. Like, you know, I really believe in everything happens when it's supposed to happen. I'll tell you a quick drunk story of, okay, so like, this was right before Bankrose, right after Mix Factory, in this 3-month gap between opening Bankrose and Mix Factory. I was with Ben, who was my video guy. Like, we were shooting music videos in the between. I was recording people basically in their garage off my laptop and shooting like $100 videos with Ben. So we had a night. He's an alcoholic, and I mean like a pure like wake up drink alcoholic. I could go, yeah, it's a whole thing. But anyway, so we were in his house one night just partying, and I got really wasted, and I was like, I'm gonna go steal shit. Yeah, you know. So it's in his apartment complex. I leave, right? I leave and I go and I start taking shit out of people's cars. Fucking hammered, you know, and I'm literally taking shit out of people's trunk. I don't want anything. I'm literally taking shit and I'm putting it under a tree. Like, I'm just like this little weird car goblin, just like moving shit. Like, wouldn't it be funny if this was here now? Like, wasted, right? Police come, because obviously I'm drunk. I'm making all this fucking noise thinking I'm Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell. Police pull up, no lights, okay? So I walk, and I'm just acting like I put my hood up, and I'm just walking, pretending that I'm whatever. I go to a door, the closest door that's to me. I pull out my house key for my mom's house, put it in the lock, pretending, my intention was to pretend to do it, fuck with the keys until they went away. That shit opened, okay? And it's like, and so I went in there and I literally went under the stairs and I think I fell asleep for like 45 minutes and then woke up and went back to the shit. But why the fuck did that key open that door? Whoa. Well, that key opened that door so that flash forward to when I drank that bottle and got wasted and got my DUI, that it would hit at the exact moment it needed to hit. And then it's like people, you know, I say God, some people don't, right? You could say that's the universe, that's this, but it is some level of divine timing. And it's like, bro, if that happened to me then, that would have been a record, because that's serious. Like, that's, for one, weird as fuck. So if you want to talk about regret, that's one of the most embarrassing things I've ever done in my life. It makes my skin crawl to think that I did that. I was a little car goblin, just taking people's tire irons and air fresheners and hiding them under an oak tree. Like,
at least
you
if
know,
you were selling it.
Huh?
At least if you were selling the shit.
No, you know, that's the thing about little car goblins. Yeah, we just want to watch the world burn.
There was like a whole movie about that. It's called Frogging. You heard of Frogging?
I have no idea.
I think
There's a movie
Frogging.
about that?
There's a movie about like these two, this guy and this girl, and they do what's called frogging, which basically means you live in somebody's house without them knowing you live in it. That's like the whole movie. So you have to try.
What
not
a great
to be
hobby!
Yeah. So like that whole.
Does it give them passion? Maybe they should pull that thread.
That's what it is, and they document it with their video cameras. So the whole movie is about like guy and a girl living in this house.
Is this a documentary,
No,
or
it's
is
a
this like
movie.
Saw,
It's a
directed by the director of Saw?
No, it's a movie, but
this
it's
is
like
frightening.
People in real life do it. They'll go inside your house and they'll live in it without you knowing they're there. And so like the whole trick of frogging is to never be seen by the owners of the house. Like that's the whole thing. So it's kind of pointless, like what you were doing. It's like, at least if you were making money doing this somehow, I'm like, all right, you were stealing shit to make money, but stealing shit to not do anything, that makes no. That's
well, I did it because I was fucking hammered.
Yeah, but it still makes no sense. Like when you're drunk, you do stuff.
Well,
that makes...
I don't know if you heard this about alcohol, but it shuts off the part of your brain that makes you make rational decisions.
Yeah, dude, I almost got so many women pregnant because of alcohol.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. Like, you don't make those same decisions when you're not fucking drunk.
Fuck no. Yeah, I'm so a million billion times happier to be sober.
I think I was on the phone with you the day you got your DUI, bro.
Probably.
I was on the phone with you.
I probably called you wasted.
You called me wasted, and then you're like, "Hold up, the police are behind me." And then I was like, "Rose," and then I had to call people, and then I had to call. And then I was like,
and I appreciate that too.
Yeah, because I didn't know if I should or not, but then I was like, "Oh, this." So I did, and then like it was crazy. It was it changed your life basically, right? You stopped drinking at that point, right?
Yeah. For the most part. So, like, I did AA. I did court-ordered AA, and I got a lot out of it, and that's the thing, too, with things like therapy in general. Some people say it's bullshit, but you just have to take it seriously. Like, if you go into AA or therapy with the intention of being open, with the intention of maybe I have a problem, I need to solve it, like, then it will do wonders for you. But if you go in there with the ego, like, I'm the shit, alcohol, whatever. So, yeah, I went to AA. I got a lot out of it and I didn't drink my entire probation. That was a $12,000 mistake, right? Between lawyer and fees, everything, right? I paid a lot for a lawyer because I was like, well, I'm only going to do this once, so I might as well go all out, So I paid for like a good lawyer or whatever. But $12,000 mistake. I didn't drink my entire probation, which was like a year. And then after that, maybe a couple weeks after that, like I had a drink, and then I got drunk a couple times after that. But then it got to a point where like if I drink now, it's like it's not exactly guilt, but it's like you're not supposed to be doing this shit. It got internalized, right? And then the high sucks now, right? And then now as I get older, like I can have 2 beers and wake up and feel fucked up because here's the not fucked up drunk, fucked up like hungover. And here's the thing, right? Damn. I was drinking hard from 19 to that. So that's a decade. Maybe not hard. It would be at least 3 nights a week every week for 10 years, right? So here's the thing about substances in general is like you drink, that's a night gone, basically. You wake up, and even if you're young, that's time gone. And then there's this lagging fog that still kind of affects you throughout the day. And so if you're drinking 3 nights a week out of 7 days, you only have 1 day of clarity. And then that day of clarity is re-putting all of the bullshit back in your life. Like there's deeper things with these substances. Like some people can handle them. I'm not one of those people who could, but it took me getting sober. I didn't even realize I was addicted for real, like chemically addicted, till I had to quit for a month. And so I had to start smoking like CBD because weed I can't do weed anymore. It makes my demons real. But like I started smoking CBD just to take the edge off of the need to drink because it's the habit. Like I would drive by liquor stores and my instinct would be to pull over, right? And it's like you don't even realize that's a problem until you can't do it anymore.
Yeah, I have that still to this day where, like, once I see a liquor store, it's like, whoa, fuck that 30-day sober shit, man. Yeah. Like, let's just fucking hop in here and set the night up.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm at that point now, too. It's like where it's, you feel guilty kind of while you're doing it now, so you can't even really enjoy it. And then the next day, it's kind of like, God damn it, dude. This is how bad my drinking is. It's not that fucking bad, but this is how bad it is. I do cold plunges the day after I drink. So if I drink, that means the next day, no matter what, I have to do a cold plunge. And I'm strict on that. Like, I'll have to do a cold plunge. Dude, doing a cold plunge sucks. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's like you're going into 35-degree water for 3 minutes. Very cold. Minutes. Yeah, it feels like you're being sharp stabbed.
Yeah, you're
like,
Jack on the fucking door.
Exactly.
Yeah, like
it's very bad. So it's like that's how strong the alcohol is, though. That like the night before, I'll be like, "Fuck it, dude, I'll cold plunge tomorrow. I don't give a fuck," and I'll drink. And it's like the next day, I'll be like, "This is the most driving to the cold plunge place alone. You have to drive 20 minutes to get there." It's like I told myself, it's almost like I'm driving myself to like an electric chair. Like, what am I doing right now? This is crazy. But the power of alcohol is so strong that I'll still drink even though I know what I'm going to have to go through the next day. Like,
right.
That's how strong it is. Let alone people waking up from a hangover. Like, oh, fuck it, I'll have a hangover in the morning. I don't give a fuck. But then I set up another boundary. No, you're going to fucking cold plunge tomorrow, too. Yeah. Still doesn't stop you from drinking.
Right.
A little bit. Maybe like a day I'll be like, fuck that, I'm not cold plunging tomorrow. Yeah. One time. But the overall scheme of things, I'm still going to fucking drink tonight.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's a good step, though. Like, that's a step in the right direction.
Creating
like,
a consequence for yourself.
Correct. But sticking to the consequence. Because the people who really fail and fuck up is they set these consequences and they have the guilt, but they sort of ignore the guilt because it's hard to deal with the guilt. It's hard to come to terms with the fact that you have a problem. It's hard to realize that your potential is being unfulfilled. It's hard to look at these things, and that causes a spin cycle of just doing the same shit because alcohol makes you, drugs, they make you forget all of the inadequacies for that moment, which is an emotional reason why people continue to use them. It's like people who have a lot of problems, they kind of streamline it into one, and that's drugs. Because if you're addicted to drugs, you only have one problem, and that one problem is I'm sober right now, and that solves all the other problems.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's like, so it's good that you're sticking to your own, I guess, self-flagellation. You're sticking to your own punishment.
I do, man. I never miss it. And
Yeah, so that's a baby step. So it will get to a point where you will either up the punishment, or you will curb the drinking. But there will not be, I mean, you could slip back and forth, but it's at least a step in the right direction.
Yeah, it's just hard not to, it's hard not, bro, you know who Bert Kreischer is?
Yes. Of course,
So like when I go on YouTube and I'm like, how to stop drinking or motivation to not drink.
It shows you Bert Kreischer.
It shows you Bert Kreischer's video of him talking about how drinking is the greatest thing ever and that he loves it and he loves bottomless mimosas, and he gives you like a whole locker room speech about how great alcohol is, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm drinking for sure now,
Bert
bro.
Kreischer is to alcohol as Lil Wayne is to lean.
It was tough though, because I was looking on YouTube, I'm looking up reels to stop the shit, and then you're finding this, you know, Bert's a legend obviously, but like to talk about it, it's like, oh yeah, I'm doing it, and then you hear actors and comedians and entertainers talk about it, and it's like, oh man, like it makes it so much like I am a fucking entertainer, so therefore like it's cool. But then you got doctors coming on podcasts and talking about the effects of it, and that sometimes an entertainer will stop me. Like sometimes like Mark Wahlberg could come talk about alcohol and like, you know, the problems with it, and then it's like, all right, man, Mark Wahlberg's saying it, fucking just don't do it.
Yeah.
But the influence of society, it's crazy that it actually fucking matters.
Yeah, of course,
Like
yeah, for sure. Well, we're wired that way. We're wired that way as people, to be influenced by the people around us. You know,
Yeah,
like we that's a hard thing to break, and it shouldn't necessarily be broken. You should just be, if you can help it, around people that are like-minded. But the thing that I would say to you, I mean, have you tried AA?
Dude,
It works.
Fucking go to an AA
No,
meeting.
but it works. So here's the thing. I think maybe you have to remove the idea that a portion of your identity is tied to you drinking and having fun and being an entertainer, because you're sober and you're entertaining. You are not the alcohol. Like, not even close. Like, it's not even a conversation. Like, you're not going to be less funny or creative or whatever, or less fun. I mean, maybe you will in a momentary time.
Momentary time. Like,
But-
that's the best thing I can say is when people like you talk about it, because you went sober, right? Like
Right.
for the most part, right? So
Yeah.
And I asked you, didn't I ask you like not even like a week ago? Didn't I text you and something and say like you quit drinking? Or,
Yes,
I asked
yeah.
you about drinking and you said your life's amazing since you
Yeah,
stopped drinking.
yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So you see it like that, like where
Yes.
completely. So you're telling
Completely.
me if I quit drinking, I'd be happy?
Not for 6 months.
What do you mean?
You'd be worse for 6 months. You would miss it like an old friend.
And then what?
And then it starts to get better. And then you realize that you have more power. Like what happened with me was, I realized that once I kind of beat it and it was out of my life, like I had the added help of probation to curb it, and I took that seriously. So I can't sit here and say I'm hyper disciplined. It was the punishment thing. It was, you know, the cold plunge. You're doing it to yourself. It was, if you drink, you're going to jail. Fuck you. And I'm the only one who drives in my house, and I have 2 children, and I want to set a good example for them. So that really fucking matters to me. So I had it in that sense. I had it easy. I had 1 year where I had to be sober, whether I liked it or not. And yeah, bro, shit sucked. Even with that, like, like I'm not gonna sit here and be like, it's gonna be the hardest fucking thing you do across the board. You're gonna have to cut people off. You're gonna have to miss shit. There's going to be a point where you're like, I'm missing career opportunities to take my sobriety seriously. But you're gonna have to make that decision, because there's no better time than now. Because you're only going to get bigger, and there will be more opportunities to be fucked up.
Yeah.
And they will never go away. So it would behoove you. I hate that word, but
Terrible word,
it's the
bro.
only word.
Yeah.
It would behoove you to do it as soon as possible, because the opportunities that maybe you think you're missing in the short term, you will gain more in the long term.
I don't give a fuck. I want to drink.
Well, it's okay. So it's gonna suck.
I want to drink. I know all that,
Yeah.
man. It's clear as day. If I stop drinking, I'm going to become more successful. But
You just killed the whole mojo. Okay, so you just have to take it seriously. I had another buddy who was really trying to get clean, and I told him, don't try to stop drinking, just take drinking seriously, which is a different mindset, meaning that it's not a toy. Treat it like a gun. Treat drinking like a gun. You know, treat it with respect. Treat it with I'm going to do this, and bad shit will happen more frequently.
I like that.
And if you can just get there, then over time it's easier.
Well, nothing bad happens when I drink. I just sit and listen to music and get work done. So I'm not like,
well, here's the question.
I mean, I used to be crazy, but not anymore.
Well, here's the question though: is why would you, if everything was good, why would you want to stop? Because you're kind of inquiring.
So this doctor talked about it. He said there's like different spectrums to what happens to certain people when they drink, and I think I'm one of the 8% that get that special part of it, which is like you get a blissful high feeling when you drink.
Yes.
So I get that when I drink. Some people don't. Some people get like other types of. What do you get when you drink? Like, do you get the blissfulness?
I'm not sure. In AA, they talked about there's a specific like stomach something, I don't know, where you metabolize the alcohol differently, and and it creates a craving. Because when I was a kid, I used to literally be, everyone would be passed out, I'd still be up, I'd be going and finding beer cans with alcohol still in it and drinking those, like when everyone was sleeping, like a little. I'm just a gremlin. I'm a car gremlin.
That's
I'm a
actually
beer
like
gremlin.
Serious alcohol shit.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, that's
like
bad.
Real shit.
But look, here's the thing though: is I thought everyone was like that. I even made a comment to my buddy. I'll always remember this. I'm like, don't you hate it when like you start drinking, you just can't stop? And he's like, no, what the fuck? What the fuck are you talking about? And I was like, yeah, that was a silly joke I just made. I'm gonna go get 5 more beers. No, so I have that, right? So it's like, yeah, I mean, some people can, I have this phrase too, where it's like, substances aren't a problem until they're a problem. You can do substances, just don't let them do you, right? Don't let them become you. As soon as you're seeking it and you need it, or you put your identity on it, that's the worst thing you can do, is put your identity on it being a drug addict, because then you're crash coursing and people are cheering you on while you're doing it. But yes, it's very bad for your health. I mean, so like,
that's how I am. Like you said, like I have the romantic idea about alcohol.
Yeah.
I have the romantic, like I'm in my robe, I got my bottle of wine, I'm chilling, I'm working, I'm like living a lifestyle that I like, and that's like the kind of thing of it. But quitting is honorable, obviously, and it's just beneficial for the person, obviously, and all the way around. And I do see people quit though, and I'll like look at Reddit forums, like people who've quit alcohol, and these are the stories that scare me. The stories that scare me is this guy's like, yeah, man, I quit drinking 26 years ago. It's still a struggle, but I did it. And it's like, what do you mean it's a fucking struggle, dude? 26 years, it's still a struggle? That means like your body is trying to compel you to drink.
Right.
And it's like, I mean, what the fuck? Like he's making it seem like it's like not any, like I have to deal with it every single day. Like,
it's like an old friend.
Yeah.
It's like an old friend that died.
26 years though?
No, but really, like, think about it though, bro. It's like, I can think about all the good times I had drinking with the group of people I drank around. Those are some of the best times I had in my life. And the pain is knowing that those will never happen again. And the idea with the alcohol or the drugs in general is that you can keep those good times rolling and you'll always have that, right? But you have rose-tinted glasses. So I mean, maybe he has the chemical problem to a severe thing. But when I think about that in the same way as like when I think back on my childhood and you get sort of this happy sadness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like, damn, I was really 8 years old playing Pokemon on the sidewalk and riding my bike, and that'll never happen again. You know what I mean? And it's to me, it's like that, and it's like fuck, and it's making me sad thinking about it. But it's also, those days are done. Like you don't have the problem with the substances is there's the illusion that you can go back to that. There is no illusion you can go back to those times in your life, like in that going back to being a kid, right? Or going back with those friends or those people. But the alcohol is like, it's literally like an old friend, always there, just welcoming you back. Like, no, we can keep these going. You had these good memories, nothing bad happened, so it'll always be like that. And you can always have this feeling you can dive in, and that to me is what I take from that. Outside of the chemical addiction, which he might have it like bad.
He might have it bad too.
He might have it bad,
though. Like romanticizing the past and like remembering it and knowing that like it. I think what you were talking about when it becomes a sad feeling is when you think about the past, because you know that it is over and that this moment right here is going to be over too. So it's almost like you're realizing like, wow, in 20 years things are going by faster than you expected. Like, bro, we're getting older, man.
Yeah, for
you know
sure.
what I'm saying? Like, and I think even these young kids, I look at my younger cousins, I'm like, are you stupid wasting any second of this moment in your life? Like, make sure, I get being a kid and having fun, but I also get like, dude, you got to start taking shit seriously, because it's going to be more fun when you're like structured in the future than like you having fun at that moment. Right. I don't want to strip kids away from like their fun lifestyle, like have fun, but like also start figuring out what you want to do and like having a devotion to whatever it is you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I'd say you can kind of just be a fuck boy piece of shit wasting your life up until about college. And the purpose of college is to sort of be like, okay, what are you interested? I mean, Now college is you go for the thing that's going to make the money, and you pay $100,000 for it, and then you work there for 30 years and die. But really the idea is supposed to be something to the effect of, okay, now you're out of this world with all the friends you grew up with and all those, and now you're starting fresh with even more opportunities. You had this preseason of like maybe sports or math, the core curriculum of high school was supposed to provide, or whatever. You're a social person. You find out kind of who you are, and then college is to sort of shape and amplify that, where they strip away the bullshit. There should not be fucking college credits for gym class. Fuck you. Anyway, so but that's the intention, right? So college age, right? But again, it's like discipline and taking it seriously. But a lot of people, they just crash out because they, you know, especially the people who have had like parents sort of take care of them. That's what happened to me, really, is, you know, I had to learn discipline, and I learned it actually from Bankrose leaving. That's a whole other thing, but I had to learn discipline. I'm still working on that. That's one of my biggest character flaws, is my own discipline. But anyway, yeah, you go into the world and then you find the thing, and then the passion hits. And then that passion, once you hit it, and you know this, once that passion hits, it overtakes everything. Yeah. It completely rewrites your entire future. It removes any despair, because there's something to shoot for that's rooted in passion, right? And passion is not love, but there's sort of like, it's like passion is almost like love for a thing, whereas love is love for a person or whatever. But like, you find that thing, and then it reshapes your entire future, and that's what gives you direction. The problem is if you're only drinking and partying and trying to fuck hoes and doing all this shit, then you deprive yourself of finding the passion.
Yeah, you keep rerouting yourself, right?
Right, like, or you continue on the treadmill of, you know, at some point adolescence has to end, and if you don't end it, life will end it for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna happen. It's already been proven. You're gonna die.
No, not even death. I mean, like, once you get to like 30 years old and you've just been drinking and fucking hoes, and your life becomes this, even if you're getting, like, if you have a stable job and you're still doing that, you will never not be an adolescent.
I meet those people all the time. I have like a neighbor that's like that.
Yeah.
Where, like, he still has the backwards cap, and he's walking around, and he's like,
"We're at the 90s, the shit."
Yeah. He's like talks to me about Tupac, and I'm like, man, wait, come on, where's the fast forward button on your VCR here? Like, we're ahead of all this shit now.
Right, but it's like things like, you know, Netflix and like, you know, your regular job and going out with your friends and all that type of shit, I think is an ill replacement for purpose.
Yeah.
You know, and it's one of those things where I like, and I understand some people don't find purpose and passion. I wish I could help people, because it was the greatest thing that ever happened to me, was finding it. But, you know, that's sort of the idea, is like, once you're at college-ish level, you have X amount of time to go off into the real world and start to shape the person you're going to be, the function that you fit into society.
Well, that's why social media and video games are so insane to me, is because some people's distraction, they turn it into saying like, well, this is how I'm going to make a future for myself by playing these video games. So it's like, I want to become a famous Fortnite player, not because I want to become a famous Fortnite player, but because I love playing video games, or I want to distract myself with this video game, and then I'm just going to figure out a way to avoid life, play this video game, and make money off this video game. Like, that's 99.9% of these kids on the internet.
Right, but
99.9% of the kids playing Fortnite are playing it because they're distracting themselves from life, and then they use the fact that they could make a career out of it as an excuse to keep doing it and not paying attention to real life. Like, no, your chances of you becoming a famous Fortnite player or even making any money off Fortnite is so low. Right. But because you want to distract yourself from life, you use it as an excuse. Like, Mom, other people are making money playing Fortnite. One day I'm going to make money if I just keep making YouTube videos. Like, no, dude, if you love the game and you really are passionate about the game, then you have a chance at doing it. If you love entertainment and you love Fortnite, that's your chance at it, but not because you're distracting yourself are you going to become successful.
Right. And then obviously some people don't have the personality. Now these things can be developed, right? But again, it's like, okay, if you want to play Fortnite professionally, playing Fortnite, I would assume that it's just like music or anything else. That part, the content part, that's like 15% of it, just in the same way that being a rapper is like 15% of the job is rapping. There's other skills that have to go into that create this melting pot of success. So it's like, if you're going to play Fortnite and stream, you have to, learn to be entertaining for 8 hours on stream. You have to get either good or really terrible, or find a differentiator that makes people want to watch you in the first place. Then you have to figure out editing. Then you have to figure out your schedule. Then you have to be poor, and you have to commit to that when all of your friends are out doing whatever, like, and going and being on with their lives. You have to sacrifice, and that's what people don't. And then you start to hate the game, the video game itself, because you're spending all this time on it. You don't have a choice now, right? And so it's like, these are all the things that come with it that they don't see. And that's why 99% of people fail, is because they want to play Fortnite, but they don't want to learn how to be entertaining or be a video editor or learn YouTube, the platform you're on. They don't. None of those people are watching, you know, the 30-minute, you know, how to blow up a YouTube channel in 2023 video. And then the people that are not applying that or even attempting to try, you know, because it's not like the information isn't out there to do it. It's just that people only want to do that one thing. And I see that with rappers all the time.
I was just thinking that same thing when you were saying that. I was like, this sounds like the rap game.
It's listen, here's the secret with all this shit. It's everything. Any discipline, any skill, any job, it's the same thing. The people who are willing to do the things that require the thing to work, like, you know, on top of the fun thing, those are the people that are going to be successful across the board. Doesn't pick anything.
I agree with you, but the different element that you can't apply to most jobs that do require all that don't have the category of being entertaining. That's like a whole world in its own, along with everything else that comes with it. So, like, when you're talking about becoming successful as a rapper, even if you're fundamentally doing everything correctly as a business oriented and disciplined and self-discipline and everything like that, the talent and the entertainment side is still something that is a factor that
so
it's its own world. It's like a whole nother world.
You have to encompass these worlds and bring them together in your own way. Like, that's the thing, is like you want to be a rapper? Well, enjoy business, because now you're a businessman. And it's like, and the people who are like, I just want to rap, it's like, cool, enjoy rapping for you and your mom and your 3 friends.
There's people that are like, if they take themselves completely serious, can find a manager or a label to sign them and take control over that, because I guarantee you can hear some of these rappers, the way they talk and the way they act, they don't know a damn thing about rap.
Right.
But those are like 0.001%.
You're talking about, you mean they don't know a thing about rap, or they don't know a thing about business?
About anything but rapping.
Oh, okay.
They don't know anything but rapping. Like, I only know how to rap. I've sat with people like this where, like, they're like, oh, what's happening? Where's the microphone? Like, they don't know. They don't know how to make a business transaction or anything else. So they have to get signed by labels and managers.
Now,
and
if you're so, and this is natural talent and shit, right? Where it's like, okay, you're naturally fucking phenomenal at rapping for some reason, that it's so easy for you. You can't believe other people can't just say things and make $500,000, right? It's so easy for you. But if you commit to doing that thing, you're opening yourself up to people who are predators that are going to take everything from you, right? So it's like, you could be successful, but now it's sort of like this luck-based thing where it's like, I hope the person you got managing you isn't just bending you over the coals. Like, you
see it happening.
Well,
man.
you see it happen all the time, but it's good to be aware. But it's like, you know, the argument of natural talent, like, because some people are just so phenomenally naturally talented, but that only gets you so far. Because you can think about it like brackets, right? Like, let's say you're naturally good at comedy. When you post shit on like TikTok, it's gonna do better than everybody else than putting all the work in, all the polish, all the other shit. It's gonna go because your content is good. But then you're in a bracket with everyone else who is the same level of good as you, except they might not have been naturally talented. So they have the polish of these people who are grinding, and they're funnier than you. And now you have to compete with them, right?
TV basically is like that.
Yeah.
TV is basically, at one point, TV and Hollywood and everything, it was the best of the best. Like, it's literally like, not only do these guys kill it on camera, but they're also fixed in every other way too when it comes to who they are, personality, keeping a cameraman around you that actually shoots good photos and not just like relying on your friend that has bullshit shooting music video with higher production cameras and with the actual crew. All these things, like, you take it more seriously, and then that's how you get to that TV level. So we're talking about Instagram, and I think our minds are kind of fixated on Instagram still, like social media being the most relevant thing, which it has its own case. It does have a case for being humongous.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, it's like Hollywood and TV is like the ultimate level of success. When you've actually made it on a TV show, or you've actually been in a movie, that's a high level of success.
Right.
But then you got the Joe Rogan argument where it's like, no, now we're all now we're all fucking independent, kind of.
Right.
And we can make our own fucking network.
Right.
It's kind of weird. It's a weird time.
Well, the interesting thing with Joe Rogan is becoming the network. And this is how things work, right? All these things start off as independent things grown, and then it's just, you know, over generations, you don't see how it all clips together and becomes this big conglomerate, right? Because it's like, I can guarantee you that in 40 years, Joe Rogan Experience and Joe Rogan as a name, it's going to be commercialized in a way, especially when he's gone. You know, this is years and years and years. And then that becomes the new fucking industry, right? And then people are like, fuck the industry, and then they start doing it again, and the cycle repeats. But like,
that's a good fucking point.
Yeah, it's just places in time. Like where we are right now in the music industry, is labels, it seems that they don't really know how to generate stars. I'm kind of ripping this off of posts I see that I just agreed with. Now it's my idea. But it's true. It's like they don't know really how to generate stars, right? And all of the people that are coming up are doing it at least semi-independently, right? And so what a label does now is, Nicki Minaj said this, where it's like you don't have to be good, you have to have attention, because all of the eyeballs are what sell ads, are what put asses in the seats, right? So if you get the eyeballs, they don't care about the music, they care that the eyeballs are there, and they don't give a shit why. You know what I mean? So it's like, so now they don't have to artist develop, because now they can just sit back and point and be like, he went viral, give him money, and then we're gonna get more money, and then throw him away, you know, type shit. And that's what happens. So so that's how this is shifting, right? But in that shift, it seems that all of these people who are trash and whatever are blowing up. But they're blowing up, but they're not staying. They're blowing up and fizzling out. They're gone. Here today, gone tomorrow. Whereas the people who are really working step by step, pace by pace, people are getting more of a hunger for that. And then you could parallel that with podcasting 7 years ago, with Joe Rogan kind of set this blueprint, right? Where it's like, and he even said it multiple times on his podcast, it's crazy that people are craving this 3-hour long form discussion about deep topics. Yeah. And it's like, so the market and the mindset of the people change. And that shift is happening in music, where now it's like, even the way we consume music, it used to be that you turn on the radio and whatever's there is what you listen to. Now it's like everybody has every song for $10 a month. So the only way you're seeing it is through social media, because that's where the eyes are, right? And that's why people are hijacking it, or your friends. And then so that creates little subcategories, little subcultures of all this music. So now instead of like trap music, it's, you know, Atlanta trap, Detroit trap, Memphis trap, and they're all there. And then there's kings of those ecosystems, right? And there's like maybe 5 artists under those ecosystems and 5 artists under those ecosystems. And if you want to get to the bedrock of culture, and I only know this because I'm in Detroit, so it's kind of easy to see the links of the artists to the top, right? It's like it's only 3 steps down. Like the people who have moderate success that are accessible are like, you know, they have like, you know, I'll just use an arbitrary example. Like they have Babyface right in their phone, right? Where it's like, boom, 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 he's affiliated this way, right? And it's not so far. So it's like you create these little ecosystems, and then if the ecosystem isn't there where an artist is represented at a top level that's pushing, then you have to basically just start from the bottom. But there's always a market for that, because that's how this is going, right? And it might be a small market, but it's like you have to create these spaces and push forward. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And that kind of feeds off of what I was saying earlier, with what kind of Joe Rogan had the blueprint for, which it's not like he wrote it, he just kept working basically. Yeah. But what it's created is this, right? These small ecosystems, these big ecosystems, everything like that can provide somebody a life of security financially. Mm-hmm. And at one point, it wasn't like that. It was like I said earlier, you had to be in Hollywood making movies, you had to be on the radio, you had to be on TV, you had to be on these major platforms in order for you to see success. For the most part, there was people obviously independently making their own money, obviously. It's clear as day. But now more than ever, you can be independent or in a small ecosystem and make more money than people on TV and in Hollywood.
100%.
So that's why it's such an interesting time, because TV and Hollywood aren't that's not the what's the top tier of something? What's the word for it? Where it's something that's the
pinnacle.
The pinnacle, yeah. TV and Hollywood are not the pinnacle anymore for being an entertainer.
For sure.
Now, because you have social media and you have all these ways to become successfully independent.
Yeah.
Now people with a way less following or way less exposure can make just as much money as somebody that's on a big screen, which is very, very crazy.
We live in the best time. And here's the thing. I think a lot of people think that content is getting shittier, and it is from volume wise, but that also allows the person who wouldn't otherwise be able to be creative, it allows them to be creative, because there's everyone shooting their shot. It's just everyone always used to shoot their shot, except we didn't see it because there were more gatekeepers. And now everyone shoots their shot and it's public, and you're like on TikTok, she fucking sucks. Yeah. Swipe. You know what I'm saying? And so, but it allows people who really have that drive and passion to shine. And I think like that's the positive thing about social media too, is that if you really kind of take a look at it, it's like all these little ecosystems are being built. People are building personal brands and being themselves to the fullest potential through just natural ability or hard work or X, Y, and Z. But obviously there's going to be losers there.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just always the case.
It's what you said though. It's shooting your shot. Everybody gets a chance to be on the court. Now everybody gets a chance to shoot, and it's like more than likely only the talented people are actually going to hit the shot. But then there's some people who don't have skill that just get that lucky jumper, that lucky little hit video they made on TikTok, and then all of a sudden they have something to work with for a little while until people figure out that you can't actually play in a game.
Yeah,
because you can't run a fucking 48-minute game.
I just hit a TikTok. Hit like 40, almost 50,000 views the other day for no reason. I did an analogy about a spoon, and it just went up. And so I'll tell you guys, all trying to make these viral shits is like that hit, and and it gave me like, it's 50,000 views. It gave me like 30 more followers, and basically my views are exactly the same after that.
Yeah.
And so there's a point to be made about how like content works like within a certain platform or whatever. But it's like going after these viral moments is not necessarily sustainable. And then there's the urge to, oh, I did this, so now I have to keep doing this.
Well, there's something that's interesting that happens in the actual marketing of stuff to make it appear as it's went viral. A lot of the stuff that we're thinking is going viral is just being marketed very strategically. There's a lot of money being funded behind things we think are viral, right? And then if a major platform reposts a clip of somebody doing something, like Say Cheese posts something, World Star might think, oh, Say Cheese posted it, therefore it's viral, so they might repost it for free. And then, another platform might be like, oh, they're posting it, so it must be something. And then all of a sudden, everybody thinks there's something that's viral happening when it's literally just marketing.
Yeah, and then 3 months later, we kind of know.
Yeah, we kind of figure out like
you kind of know because, it's like the real shit. I just made a post about this today where it's like, this is sort of an offshoot, but it's like you don't want fans, you want a community. You want to build a community. Like, stop using fans, because fans are fanatics. That means they're obsessed with you, but that doesn't really mean they fuck with you. Build a community. Me with my like almost 700 followers now, I have a very small community. And the tactics that I'm doing is, oh, I see this person in my story all the time. Maybe I'll give them cheap studio time. Maybe I'll just reach out. Hey, thank you for this, XYZ. There was a page that had like 100,000 views that just likes all my shit, and me and him got into contact just by me reposting his shit every time or whatever. We started talking about music or whatever. But it's like I have this little community, so my strategy is continue to support these people while I still know their names. And that's a mistake I made at Bankrose too, where it's like I got too big, too fast, too popular, and then everyone's intentions started to be weird, and people would come up, I mean, you know this because you're famous, is that people come up and they like you don't know what their intention is, so you can build this wall around you and all this type of shit. But it's like, so my community at Bankrose got too big for me to handle, and I couldn't put a lid on it, and that forced me to like drop down. And basically I ran away from it, right?
Yeah.
So now it's like I'm prepared as I move forward, but now I'm getting a little community back, because I'm still doing the same type of thing that blew me up on Bankrose, and that's giving people my insights and my mind and how to blow as an artist, which is interesting that's the thing that gets me attention. Like, I never ever in my life thought that my ideas would be that interesting to people, but I'm blessed in that way, I suppose. But anyway, so I have my community, and then I just take care of my community, and my community is getting bigger, and there will be a point where it's too big to handle, and that's when you can start like monetizing the community, right? But if you get fans, like you have this viral moment, you get all this attention, all these people come at you really fast, and then fucking, I don't know, QC comes down and they sign you to a record label, and you're like, fuck, and it's all this whirlwind of shit, and they're like, make that song again. You're like, I fucking can't. And they're like, get in the trash can. And then all the people run away because they never fucked with you anyway, and then you're back, and it's like, what the fuck just happened? I thought I was the shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, that's why if you have a stable community, instead of standing on the platform, that's why we call it a platform, by the way. If you're standing on the platform too much and you're putting too much weight on the platform, it's going to crash through. That's why you need the community. And I'll even go farther than this. Like, my network, right, is like, because me and you have a personal relationship, like, it's basically I'm restarting my business again, but I'm not, because like I have a connection with you, and now you're going to put me up in front of all these fucking people, right? So it's like, you build the community, you stand on the community, you add to the community, you help your community, you make it fun for your community, you engage your community in whatever value that is, right? And that's the real question, is what is the value that you can provide these people? And if you continue to provide good value, then these people will stay. And not only will more people stay, more people will stay, more and more people will come, because now it's a cool thing to be a part of, right? And then you have this massive audience, and then you get fans. And the fans are like I said, the fanatics, the people who look at you and they're like, I'm going to be him. Kid Al has a podcast and it's successful, so I'm gonna do a podcast and I'm gonna be successful, right? But they're really fans, and then fans turn to haters, and then it's because they're not you, and that's a whole thing. Everyone knows this, and then they're dick suckers and XYZ. But community is the most important thing, right? And that's how you stay in this game a long time.
Yeah, it's scary too though, because everything you're saying is like straight like $1 million worth of game for everybody, and what you're saying has been manipulated by certain people, by a lot of people, to create communities with bad intentions. Get use the restroom one more time. Do you got time? You got,
I got it. Yeah, we can go all day.
One more time.
I appreciate all that, and I know it'll help. It'll definitely help the video.
We're back. We got to dive into the Rose story a little bit, man, because I like a lot of people who don't know who Rose is. Like, it's kind of crazy because you've done a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Weren't you Baby Smoove's one of Baby Smoove's first recordings?
Yeah. I recorded Smoove as a regular client at Mix Factory back in the day, and like I'll say this about Smoove is that like Smoove always like looked out for me. Like even when he was getting big, I kind of like, I don't want to say I fucked it up with Smoove, but I definitely like fell off the map due to like circumstances, and I can kind of get into that a little bit. But yeah, like Smoove, I recorded the 2 tapes that kind of got him on pre-Acorn. So it was I'm Still Serious Too. We did that at Bankrose in the Red Room, and Flawless. And so we did like 10 songs on I'm Still Serious Too in like 4 hours. Like we just like the way he records is crazy. He goes in and he raps it, because at the time he was writing it, and he just rapped it all, and he was like, that's good, and then he'll maybe do a stack, and he'll maybe do an ad lib, and then next fucking song. So we were knocking out songs in like 20 fucking minutes. Like half of that tape was done in 4 hours.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's pretty. Yeah, it's pretty insane. A lot of people probably wouldn't know that. That's a lot of
my most proud song is FMBDZ Loyalty. I did that song. I recorded him, I don't know where it was, but I recorded him in like an upstairs, just in one of those houses. He was just sitting on an ottoman, and we did like 4 or 5 songs, and Loyalty was one of them. And if you listen to that record, like my mixing style is all over that fucking record. Like there's the phaser on it, and there's the, I mean, obviously it's older now. There's like, you know, the low pass filter outro with the old whatever. I'm very proud of that record. That was like, I still listen to that song, and I'm really happy that I'm the one. That's like a point of pride for me. I really fucking love that song.
Oh, it's sick as fuck. And then obviously you had a lot of work with Rocky Bad too,
I did,
man.
yes. I recorded Rocky Bad's best song, and she never put it out.
What song?
It's called Faithful, where she's singing, and she's really good. Like I know she done a lot of singing. This is like real fucking like pop-ish record.
So she didn't release the song?
No. So like I have it. She actually hit me up maybe like not fully a year ago, trying to get the session files for it. I have to there's like an $8 cable I need to buy to like plug in my old hard drive, because I know Smoove shit is on there, and I know there's a bunch of shit on that hard drive, and that song is definitely on there. But yeah, Rocky is like one of the most talented people I've ever been in a room with working.
You started working at Bankrose. You left the Mix Factory, right? What year was that roughly?
We opened Bankrose in 2017, so it would have been the end of 16 into 7. It was June of 2017.
What was it like starting up Bankrose Productions?
It was dope. I mean, I came in very optimistic. I had like people around me that I could trust, and then Curtis Lamar, Crowd Freak, he got the money together to like open it up. So it's like I didn't really. All I had, bro, was like a phone full of clients and a laptop. And there was already a booth in there that was like, it's still in there. It's like a really terrible booth, but we were just thugging it out for like a year. And that was when Crowd Freak started. Like Crowd Freak really built off the back of Bankrose. I don't mean that in a disparaging way, but it was basically me and Kurt linked together because he needed a spot to throw showcases, and he was testing it at the time, right? And at the time, the Bullfrog, which isn't around anymore, he was just paying to do the Bullfrog, like, and do these showcases, but it was not cost effective to learn. So we were in there. It was like me, CBSM Henny, F.A. Meach as the 3 engineers banging out 25 an hour sessions around the clock, just paying for all the shit, and then Kurt would run his showcases, and he'd do like one a week, like one showcase a week just to work the kinks out. And whatever extra money he made, if he made any at the time, he would throw it into the pot and be like, cool. But really it was like, bro, like a good 6 months of like party every fucking week, showcase every week, banging studios out of the back of that red room.
Oh man.
Yeah. It was a wild time.
And that was like the Bankrose Productions was originally the hip hop shop, right?
Correct. Yes.
When was it the hip hop shop before you bought it? Or?
Yeah, so it was the hip hop shop. The story, Maurice Malone, I believe was his name. I'm sorry if I butchered that. Who had it before, but they lost it. And I think I don't even want to say that because I don't know if it's 100% true. But anyway, the people who were in there lost it, so it was just vacant. And then Kurt like found it, and I didn't even know what it was until I got the keys, and I'm like, this is the what? This is the who? Like this is the Eminem and the Royce? Yeah. So the hip hop shop, if people don't know, is like it's where like the battle rap scene that was like depicted in 8 Mile, like that it was on a smaller level, the hip hop shop, and on a bigger level, I think it was the Shelter, St. Andrews, one of those. But like really, really like, you know that rough and tumble boxing gym that's in all the movies before like the big fight type shit's that. So it was like Royce and like D12 and like, I mean, fuck Eminem and you know that whole scene, bro. That entire scene was in there, and they were rap battling, doing all that shit.
Yeah.
Right there, like in that room.
Why they decided to change the name from the hip hop shop to the Bankrose Productions?
Because we didn't have the rights to use that name.
Oh, so the hip hop lab is somewhere else. I mean, sorry, the hip hop shop is somewhere else right now.
No, well, it was. I mean, I don't know what they're doing with the brand, but I didn't. So I would have found it to be disrespectful to just come in and hijack the legacy of the hip hop shop. And be like, yeah, I'm the hip hop shop now. It's me, because it's not the building, it's the culture, it's the people, it's all the shit around it, right? So it's like, but I was mindful to leave the hip hop shop logo on the floor. Like I was very, very mindful to make sure that shit, they repainted it. Like there was a decision made that I disagreed with to repaint the hip hop shop logo with different colors. I eventually acquiesced, but they wanted to like paint over the whole thing. But I was like, no, this has to stay. And like the proof mural has to fucking stay. Like there's certain shit that I was like, no, there's like, this is a fucking place. They, you know, we fucked up when we first got in there, and there was like the whole wall was a blue wall with stars, and it was a bunch of fucking stars. Like everyone who wrote their name down there, Royce was on there, I remember distinctly. And I was like, and I told Kurt or whatever, like, we can't paint over these, have the painter paint around them. And I think we just hired cheap painters, and they were like, buy everything. And I was like, oh no.
That place is a hip hop historic landmark, dude.
Yes.
That sucks.
Listen, I used to be on there, and randomly, like once a year, like a person from Europe would just come in and be like, is this the hip hop shop? That's a terrible European accent. That was something else. They're like, hip hop shop? Is this where Eminem was? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, can we see it? And I was like, yeah. And they'd come in and they'd be like, wow, like, yeah, for real. There was there were 2 Asian ladies that came, and this is on West 7 Mile, by the way, and they were like, is this a hip hop shop, Eminem? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, oh, what's your name? And I was like, Rose. And they're like, hee, that's a girl's name. Like, they hoed the shit out of me to my face. But yeah, random shit like that would happen all the time. Like, wow, yeah, it is, yeah, man, it's real shit.
It's still cool though, because if you ever do want to go back, like, people can still go to that place and, and feel like, okay, this was still the place that they did it. And even though it looks completely different, this is still the place.
Yeah, well, there's an energy you can feel, you know, and I kind of attribute some of the vibe and some of the success to that being in the walls. You know, where people come in, because it does change mentally. It changes people. And you know this too. Like, I mean, some people don't believe in this, but you can step into a room and feel something, even if you're not aware of what it is. And it's like, oh, something happened here. That's sort of a concept of like haunted houses and shit. But it's like something.
They do it. Like, scientists did do some shit where like they can find certain like energy resonance from areas that have had like horrific crimes and stuff happen.
Yeah.
They're like, you can still see certain things. And I'm like, I don't know if I believe that shit, but you're not gonna fucking listen, man.
They're like, that shit from my car is under that tree.
They're saying like, if you
little goblin,
like, if, for instance, there's like a way for scientists to diagnose somehow if somebody had sat somewhere. So like, if you sat there, and you could leave that spot, and in 3 hours they could still see some residue of your energy somehow. I don't know. Listen, man, scientists fucking.
Is that
said
called
it.
film?
I don't fucking know.
Is that a camera? No, I'm just playing.
You don't believe it, and you do believe it. That's crazy.
No, I do. No, I'm just fucking with you. No, it's crazy. You know, there's so many. A while ago, and this is a great decision that I made. It's helped my life tremendously. Is I have come to terms with the fact that I don't know and will never know anything. And anyone who believes things that I think are fucking insane, I do not dismiss it, and I try not to judge people for them. Like, I have a buddy who believes in like the Anunnaki, and the Anunnaki came and created humans or dropped them off, and we're slave races to these aliens because there's gold here, and that sounds insane. But I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, sure. Like, honestly, because it's like, who the fuck am I to say that didn't happen? Even though that's a little out there.
That one's out there for sure.
That one's out there. But it's the same type of thing where it's like, you know, I mean, these stories that get passed down, you know, generationally about things like ghosts and
even this history, because I remember when I was listening to Wyclef, my favorite song by Wyclef is called New Day. And it's like, there's a line and no, sorry, If I Was President. There's a song by Wyclef called If I Was President. And in the song he says, Christopher Columbus didn't discover America. And it's totally off beat, but it's like he really wanted to make the point.
Yeah.
And so I was like, what are you talking about? So I started doing research. I was like, oh shit, Christopher Columbus didn't discover America. This is
he was like
crazy.
the 9th guy, like something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and he like pretty much like raped and pillaged the whole fucking area. So it's kind of crazy. It's kind of like, this guy kind of sucks, man.
Yeah.
Like, this guy's not cool.
Yeah, not the guy you would bring into your country. Yeah.
He had like wood teeth or something. Or was that Thomas Jefferson? I don't remember. But anyway,
George Washington had wooden teeth. Yeah,
God,
that's why I chopped down the cherry tree for the teeth.
Now when you started there, what was the process like? You already had built, like I said, like an established name for yourself, right? You already had the credentials. You already had the requirements.
Sort of. Like when I started? Mm-hmm. No, only sort of. I only had word of mouth through Mix Factory, and I was a good engineer. That was before I was posting on like anything.
That's what I'm saying. Like you had you already had like people knew what the fuck you were capable of.
Yeah, I had the clientele. Well, I would say I had the skill set. Yeah. Right? I had the skill set. And then as a marketing strategy, because it's like we were all broke, and it's like, how do we get fucking clients? And I was just like, and this is definitely a Gary Vee thing where it was like, I have all this information because at that point, it was 2017. I mean, I've already been rapping for a decade. I was a professional engineer for maybe 2 years at the time, or however long it was. And then, so I had this vast level of knowledge on artist shit, right? And from what I've seen in the studio. So I just was like, I'm going to stick a camera in my face and talk. And I don't remember it taking that long to work. You know what I mean? Because here's the thing with this, right? Is like, I know shit. I am not afraid to share it. And as a person who's potentially going to buy studio time, they're like, why am I going to go with this studio that only posts their studio flyer, or am I going to go with the guy who knows what the fuck he's talking about and proving that he knows what he's talking about every single time he makes a fucking post, like this and this and this? You know, the one that really stuck is ad libs. Like, people have trouble with, I'll give this here because people go crazy. There's only 3 types of ad libs. Okay, there's a repeat, a response, and a sound effect. Right? So it's like, hit him with the stick. Hit him with the stick. That's the ad lib. Hit him with the stick. We on his ass. That's the response. Hit him with the stick. Boop, boop, brrr. That's it. Flat the fuck out. So that's how you do ad libs. Everybody who doesn't know how to do ad libs. And that shit goes crazy every time. So shit like that, just little shit that I don't think about, where I'm like, I know this. And as I'm working, like, these things kind of flicker in my mind. So I made the decision where I'm like, I'm just going to rapid fire post shit. Like, I'm just going to, whatever jumps in my head, I'm going to say something about it. Right? And obviously when I started, it was clunky. But it did not take long, because I already had those people on well, actually I started a new page. I had a small amount, and then Crowd Freak shows obviously definitely helped, because I was doing what I was supposed to be doing at the time, which was going in and taking everyone who performed at the show's social media, follow them back, and then I'd be posting this. So it's like, here's the value exchange, right? Is like, why is someone going to watch your page? Why should someone follow your page? And that has to be answered. And my answer was, well, I'm going to just tell them how to rap. And then that evolved into like philosophy and life advice. And then it's really interesting that at a certain point, people were fucking with the life advice and the philosophy way more than the rap shit. Obviously, that has a bigger audience and shit, but even rappers, right? Because I would even argue that, like, you know, being a rapper is scary and lonely, and everyone tells you can't do it. And like, I mean, a lot of people are artists because they're insecure. You know, they have something to prove. It's an ego thing or whatever. Like, it's art at the end of the day, and it's an art form. And even stepping into that booth, I respect anybody who even tries, because it's hard to do something creatively and then face massive judgment, right?
Yeah.
So so people need, so just the words of affirmation, the positivity, and the the way I view the world on top of the technical things for artists like started to work. And then Detroit Rap News, I paid Detroit Rap News at the time. Maybe this was like, actually, okay. Then we shot Vindictive, which now has, if not past 10 million views. Our YouTube page, our Bankrose YouTube page, when we dropped it, had 60 followers, and I watched it with my eyes go from 60 to 10,000 in like fucking, maybe not 10,000, 5,000 in like 4 hours. And it was literally, you know how you can have real-time analytics? It was like nothing. And then wave, huge fucking wave, like that shit on our YouTube page hit like, I think like 90K in 24 hours, and then kept going from there. So that was a blessing. It ended up being a curse longer term, but then it was easy as fuck to get clients. You know what I mean? And then all of the things that I was saying, people were following, off the strength of that. And obviously Rocky had a fucking lot, and I love and appreciate Rocky forever. She has a very good heart. She's a good person. She really pushed us, like even beyond that, because the Vindictive video wasn't even, it was Maury Corey knew Rocky, and he just put us together. That was when I met Rocky. I think I met her on that shoot, right? And so it was one of those things, and I think she knew it was going to be big too. I think she said, this one's going to go fucking crazy. And I was just kind of fresh, and I was like, hope it does, whatever. So, but Corey put that shit together, and then since then it blew up. So me and, we all as a unit had Vindictive behind us as a motivational force to get us all glued in, right? And that early success, and then at that point it was like, bro, my DMs would not stop at all, flat the fuck out. So you take that, then you get the attention, you get this guy who knows the fuck he's talking about, and 90% of my shit is people are fucking with. I very rarely got negative responses. Sometimes I did, but and then that cascaded that up, and my message started getting, and then obviously people were coming in, and then I got like DZ reached out, and I got to work with Swano, and like I'm trying to think through the post Bankrose people. That's it. And Rocky, obviously, but like a lot of people just would come in, and that's how my name got out there. And then Detroit Rap News, I think I paid them for some of my speech posts. So here's the thing everyone talks about. Can you confirm or deny this? I was the first person to put a camera in my face and give people advice in the city.
You were the first person that I was seeing in 2017 that was giving people advice by looking at your phone and giving PSA videos. Yeah.
Count it.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take that one.
Yeah.
So
there was nobody else doing it.
Right.
Literally.
Yeah.
And I remember I started doing it after you.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, I was like, "What the hell?" And I don't remember one time. Rappers might make a PSA like, "Stop fucking your life up." All right, bye. But like,
okay, cool. Get a sandwich if you're hungry. All right.
It was never anybody. You were giving game. Like when you were doing PSA videos, you were giving game to artists. You were giving them life advice, like you said, music advice, industry advice. You went from the industry advice to the underground advice, back and forth so seamlessly. Mm-hmm. Like you had great perspective on it, and people knew you were credible. So
right.
Losing that kind of did suck because nobody really does that anymore. That's kind of like a lost thing now.
Yeah.
Nobody talks.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still doing it, and obviously it's not going as fast because I didn't have that Vindictive push, and I'm starting from zero, but the responses are relatively similar. I would say it upgraded, where it's like now it's more podcasts now, where it's like if you stick a camera in your face, because now it got to a point where like every asshole was doing exactly what you were saying, where it's like if you see a car in the background, someone's like, hey, it's about to be some fucking bullshit. So if I'm on there and then it's not professional, then people are like, swipe, they don't give a fuck. But then I have the shit like I posted on TikTok. I had a spoon. I'll show it to you.
I've seen it. I mean, I seen you post that you got 31,000 views.
Yeah. So basically what that analogy was is I took a tablespoon and I was making the point that, and I turned my faucet on super maximum, and I was like, if you go full pressure all the fucking time, then no water will get in the spoon because the spoon is the goal. So sometimes you have to slow down a little bit, and then remember that filling the spoon is the goal, and it's the right amount of pressure, right? Basically, I butchered the fuck out of that, but basically I made it low, so it was basically one stream, and then it filled the tablespoon. Whereas if you crank it, because it's a fucking spoon, so it's like if you crank it, then it's splashing off, and when you turn it off, there's nothing there, which is an analogy for calculated, calculated effort beats massive effort. It's work smart, not hard, but it's just in that format. But that just blew the fuck up.
Everything, yeah. When you used to do PSA videos, everybody was always like, again, there was not really any negative feedback. It was always like, yeah, man, that's some real shit. And then even when I used to see it, I was like, damn, like I'm going through a lot of the stuff that this dude's talking about. And then at a certain point, I started hearing up. I was like, bro, why don't we make PSA videos together? And it was funny because like we ended up going to like some alley in Royal Oak, and like I had a cigar in my mouth, and I was filming backwards, and I was like, yeah, this is what my advice and your advice. But after a while, I started realizing like the PSA videos, like. Nobody fucking listens. That's the problem.
So can I give you my insight with that? I'm not doing them so that people will listen. I'm doing that so that, because people will listen, but it's only 1%, right? So I'm doing it for the 1% of people who will listen, that they'll genuinely take advice. Because a lot of people who consume it, I mean, even now, even with my smaller amount, it's like, I'll only get maybe one new client every 2 weeks off of doing that, right? But it gives me a fellowship, right? So that every person who's just consuming it, what was the term? It was the Alex Hormozy thing, just like mentally masturbating, right? Where it's like they get the motivation to do the shit, but they're not actually doing anything about it. Those people are going to push you out because they're just going to consume and consume and consume, but then they're going to push it out to that 1% that's actually going to be affected by it. And then within that 1% of people, the one person out of that is going to actually come and spend money with you. But it's less about the direct income. It's more about the proof, consistent proof of knowledge and validating that I know what the fuck I'm talking about, so that when you finally do, and there are people who watch me for years, and they would tell me, I watched you for years and I'm finally here. And I'm like, me? Like, that was a little weird too, honestly. Still is. When people, it's like, bro, I was watching you for years. I can't believe I'm fucking finally here. And I'm like, so you want to record? But it takes them 2 years to get booted up. And sometimes that's required, because it's like, I'm not saying it, I mean, I am, but I'm not firstly saying it because I know it's going to convert. This is just how my brain works. I literally, like, I have in my phone, like, a note of, it's literally called Philosophy as I Think Them. And I'll just, if I have a thought, I'll hit the mic on my thing and I'll be like, what if birds were made of mayonnaise? And then I'll be like, boom, and I just have all this shit or whatever. But it's like, so me just sticking the camera in my face, it was sort of a layup, but I do it because like I thought music was really the thing, right? And engineering was the thing. I don't even think it's that anymore. I think it's just, I have an ability to motivate people and get people to do the thing that they're supposed to do in a creative way, right? Like, I have that ability. I don't know why. I stopped caring why, but for some reason, I'm able to take difficult things and put them in a palatable way that you can actually use and use and better your life. And that was the best thing about that. And then obviously my success came from, obviously the content was really good and people were resonating with it, and that made me feel good. So it's not even about, like, back to who you are when you had a camera in your hand at fucking 12 years old. Who I am is this. That's just who I am. Like, I genuinely, if you are asking questions, I genuinely want to figure it out. Right, and so that just translated online. So online, that was a layup for me.
Yeah, it comes from people who are going to listen to you at first because of the fact that you have something that they want to understand, which is the music industry, right? And then once you got those people attention, half of them are going to actually like you as a person too. So they're going to look at you if you have something to say about life itself. They're going to listen. They're more likely to listen to what you have to say, and they give you credibility for it. There's a lot of people who try to do what you do, and like I said, they don't have a couple fundamental things that make it like a necessity for why anybody will listen to you in the first place.
Right.
It does trip me. I'm really hating rappers doing it. Rappers giving out PSAs when they're like, just because they don't have any music to release. I always want to be like, can you shut the fuck up? Go back and nobody gives a fuck what you. I was talking to Dogface Calderon last week, and we talked about that. Like, I don't give a fuck what a rapper has to say about life, dude. No offense, man, but I watched your interviews and I listen to your music. There's nothing you're saying to me that's like I know is gonna enlighten me from within. Like, I'm pretty sure you're not gonna ever. And you hear what they say, and 99% of the time, it's like some shit that's like a kindergartner couldn't have thought of. A kindergartner couldn't have thought of. So.
Well, the thing is, I like that they do that as long as it's positive, right? Because they are role models for kids.
Yeah.
So it's like, I would rather have like Skilla Baby go on and be like, don't fuck up, than someone with credibility, because it's reaching directly into the hearts of kids.
But there's like this story about like a kid at a dinner table with this girl's at a dinner table with her family, and she's sitting there, and then she asks her dad, like, hey, Dad, does God hear everything we talk about? And then the father says yes. Anyway, the father is like a fucking abusive husband, so the whole time he's yelling at his wife while this conversation's happening. And then the girl, the little girl sits up again, and she goes, Dad, is it true that God's in this room with us right now, paying attention to everything we do? And the dad's like, yes. And then he's like slapping his little son or something in the meantime.
This guy's
out
of control, man.
He's an out of control father. And then the daughter, she sits up, she's like, so we should listen to God and treat each other with respect and love and care. And the father's like, yes. And then I guess she said at the end, like, so what should God believe? Your actions that you're doing right now, or what you're saying that you believe in all these things? And so it's like kind of the same thing with rap to me. It's like you'll see a rapper be in an interview and they'll say like the craziest, stupid, most retarded fucking shit ever. And then they'll come on the internet and say something that's a little bit profound, not even like minusculely profound, like making a decent point, like robbing people isn't worth it in the long run. Like, okay, we know that, dude. Like, so what do you listen to? Do you listen to their fucking interviews where they're saying insanely fucking stupid shit? Or are you listening to the like little moments where they say something that's like barely positive? That's one of the people I follow, at least, where I'm like, pick a side, man. Like, how are you living your life, man? Like, fucking pick a side. Like,
yeah, I don't think things need to be that black and white, though, to be honest with you, because it's like within all of us is multiple people. So you can still be the gangbanger, but also be the stay-in-school guy at the same time. Like, you can. And it's like, and so it's, I mean, messages get mixed, but, there is something to be said, too, about rappers are rapping about this shit because people are listening to it and they need to get out of their situation. You know what I mean? Like, there is something to be said about that, where I would even make an argument that it's better to rap about it than doing it. Like, even though that perpetuates the cycle of bullshit because, people look up to these artists and they're like, they want to be cool and all of that. I kind of go back and forth with that too, and like what my small part to play is in recording all of this violent shit that I don't believe in principle.
Who's the guy who invented the car?
Henry Ford.
Henry Ford invented the car vehicle?
Well, there's the Model T.
Right, so he invented the shit.
Well, I think he invented, like, the assembly line, but we'll just say, I don't know.
Okay, so the guy who invented the car, right?
Yeah.
Obviously,
Jonathan Carrington.
If he knew he was going to kill millions and millions and millions of people are going to die because of what he created, right?
Right.
Would he stop? Would he be like, no, never mind, like, forget this idea, like, millions of people are going to die because of my invention? Or would he go, I need the money at this moment to build futures of wealth for generations of families? Which decision would he make? And so the rap is the same way to me, where it's like, yes, I know that this artist is in a dire situation, so he's going to create the content that attracts kids and make money off of it, even though it's going to negatively influence the future generations. For instance, Nicki Minaj and Cardi B making the song Wet Ass Pussy.
Right.
Okay, great. First of all, they were already rich before that song even came out, right? But they still decided to make it, even though they know they're influencing the future generation of females growing up, especially when they always try to praise females and try to move this feminist movement and everything like that. But then you're like also making the song called Wet Ass Pussy. It's like, come on, man. Like, did the song need to exist? Did you need to make more money?
Yeah, I mean,
maybe both. Like, who knows what the answer for that is?
Well, again, it's I think people kind of just want to continue the quote unquote success, and I think it's important to have a real definition of what success is. And maybe Cardi B and Nicki, they're not around regular people, so there is a level of out of sight, out of mind. They don't directly see the impact they're having on these kids. They're just enjoying a lavish lifestyle, and then your ego. I mean, look, I had a modicum of fame. I was like a C-list celebrity. I was like C-plus list celebrity in the city, and even that was too much. So that's when I think about people like Eminem, who went from zero to the biggest star in the world for 20 fucking years, or like Michael Jackson, who had an unrealistic amount of fame, especially at that time, or someone like Kanye West. And like, people are not supposed to have this level of fame, so it's in my opinion, but it's maybe they don't have to deal directly with the repercussions. It's like, if you watch someone touch a stove and burn their hand on it, right? Are you going to touch the stove? Probably not. But what if someone comes out of the kitchen and tells you, Dad just burned his hand on the stove and you didn't see it? You're like, okay. Or even that, you burn your hand on the stove, daughter goes out, tells her sister, Dad burned her hand on the stove, and then 2 weeks later, you're sitting with mom and the girl's like, Dad burned his hand on the stove. She's gonna be like, eh. And it's like there's these levels of separation, and then there's a level of like, is it their responsibility to to consider the morality
It's
of these
everybody's
kids.
responsibility.
Well, that's a point that could be debated, and I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree, but for devil's advocate, like, you know, there is an argument to be made that they don't really owe that responsibility. Because all they wanted to do was be successful in music. They do their job. They, you know, and I'm going to do my job, and I'm not going to do anything beyond that. It takes care of my family. It lives this lifestyle I have, and my only obligation is for me and my family. Fuck everybody else.
Yeah.
There's an argument for that. I disagree with it. I think that if you are even remotely empathetic as a human being, you would take that into consideration. And I'm sure a lot of them do, but I think maybe it's just like, I can't stop.
Well, there's all these stupid arguments about like building your family's future generation of wealth and all this stuff, and that's like when they already become a millionaire, they still continue to want to make more money and more money and more money, even if they're creating this content that is hurting the future generations, like I said. But then they're like, oh, well, I got to feed my family and my family's family and the family after this family and the next 10 or I want wealth. I want generational wealth forever. And it's like, okay, when is that ever proven to be the best way to be born and raised is into a family that has generational wealth? So you're basically saying the reason I don't want to just be a rapper will have $5 million and you'll question them like, why are you rapping about what you're rapping? Because it makes me more money. You already have $5 million. What do you need more money for? I'm not just worried about my own life. I'm worried about my kids and my kids' kids and my kids' kids. And that's always their arguments. The next generation, right? Okay. And then you hear majority of the time that people who get born into wealth don't handle it properly. And who's to say that's the best way for anybody to be raised or anything? No,
I don't think it is.
Yeah, so it's like, what are we talking about?
Well, there's an overemphasis. I mean, you know, we really live in a society where success equals money, right? And again, this goes back to, and I'm gonna keep saying it over and over, is be the best version of yourself. And I think, like, here's something interesting on this point. Like Eastern cultures, Western cultures, when you ask them, like, where is the human consciousness, they'll point at the head, right? If you ask an Eastern person, where is human consciousness, they point at their heart. I heard that, so it's true. So, but there's a level of Eastern cultures view happiness as your ability to help as many people around you. Now here, with this money thing, you can make the argument that the more money I have, the more it's helping. But I would also counter that with saying the only thing, life is the best teacher and struggle is the way you learn your lessons. So if you remove the money, you remove this a huge amount of struggle. You're playing the game on easy mode, and that's bad for your children to a certain extent. Obviously, there's ways around that. But again, it's like, what do you define as success? Because I think that for your spirit to really truly be the best version of yourself, most people, you need to start, when you have an abundance, you need a way to figure out how to trickle it down. And that's why I love business, like, because fundamentally with business, it's solving a problem and solving a need and doing it better than everyone else, right? From a thesis standpoint of, you know, you create this business so you do a thing better than everyone else, and then everyone competes, and then over time the winners get made, and then XYZ, but then you're helping people, right? Generally speaking. So, but yeah, I mean, I think if you view money as happiness, you will always be a slave to money. So it's like, yeah, I mean, Nicki Minaj might be hyper successful, or Cardi B might be hyper successful, and I don't want to sit here and act like I know them or anything, but if you say one thing and then you put out wet ass pussy, then you're a slave to money. Yeah, flat out. You can't get around that, and that will eat at your character. That will eat at your soul, and then it will hurt the kids around you, because exactly what you said with the daughter and her dad slapping them around, it's like, Jesus is the best. Psh, fuck your mom. Then her kid's going to grow up, internalize that, and that's how this cycle continues, because, by the way, her kids are not going to escape that what's the word, that influence. They're going to get it worse, because it's my mom on the TV, right? And they're going to get it worse, and that goes also into the point of, like, you know, entertainers' kids are not exactly known for their mental stability. Right. You know what I mean? I know a lot of them. So that comes around. So, like, if you think that Cardi B putting out wet ass pussy is not going to affect her in 20 years, like, the karma will hit if there's karma to hit. And hopefully, again, I don't fucking know her, but it's like, if she's doing something against her true beliefs, it will catch up. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then you will suffer personally for the damage you solve. And I think that, you know, karma in the universe or God or whatever is set up in that way. Yeah. Where you think they're getting away with it because they have this money, but God is setting them up for a massive generational smackdown back into the dirt. and that's the punishment. You know what I mean? And that's again why you have to be the best version of yourself. Don't over glorify money, because just having money is not success. You know, because I said this before. It's not about how much money; it's how you make the money is what's more important. You know? And I think if people were more on that, then more people would be okay making $60,000 a year sculpting or whatever their passion is, than selling out and doing shit they don't want to do so that they could have a bigger box to live in, as the phrase goes. You know?
Yeah. Unless, like you said earlier, that you're living a totally selfless life where like the whole reason I'm making all of this money is to help people, right? And like, so I think Warren Buffett's wife left him. Like when she left him, that was like part of it, because he was like trying to save all of his money. He's like, the more money I'll have, that one day I'll be able to spread it better. And then the wife's like, no, like we need to start doing it now, so that we can start building things now, so that we can. It's like a school system. It's like you start young, like you start now, so that way in 10 or 20 years, whatever we decided to take with and do with that money, it helps people for the next generation coming up. You're not supposed to hold on to it till before you die and then decide what to do with it at the last minute. There was like some weird argument in a documentary about that with Warren Buffett and his wife. It was
well, again, it's
fucking
like
interesting to hear.
How do you define success? Because obviously people in the world of finance champion him as a Michael Jordan of finance. But it's like, okay, then what do you sacrifice? For every gain, there's a loss. And if it's a massive gain, it's a massive loss across the board, right? So it's like, is no relationship with your kids worth that extra comma?
And I do want to feel it too, though. Like, okay, let's just say he's doing something we don't know about. Like we were saying that right now. Okay, he's the richest man in the world, and it did what he. How does he feel about what he's accomplished? Maybe in his mind, he's like, well, I donated to all these millions of charities, and me and you don't know anything about that, right?
Right.
But I want people in that position to make us feel that there is something happening because of what they decided to do with their money or their influence. Like, I want to feel like Tupac, bro. I know he died and shit, but...
Well, Tupac was a special, introspective person, and that's why people still remember him so fondly. I was thinking about Tupac the other day, because Tupac died at like 25 or something like that. I'm 32. I'm 7 years older than Tupac ever was. And that's crazy, because as a kid, like Tupac was there before me, but Tupac will forever be 25. And so when you're a kid, you're like, who is this insightful whatever? And then I'm as old as him, and I'm like, how the fuck does this 25-year-old kid know this shit? And how does he have the balls to stand for this shit, stand up and actually say it? You know what I mean? And that's why we champion Tupac. That's why like people fuck with Tupac more than they fuck with Biggie from the social aspect. But you don't get souls like that a lot. That's why they're special and you cherish them, and that's why he's a fucking icon.
Yeah.
He's beyond music. People who don't know a Tupac song know Tupac because of what he stood for. You know what I'm saying? And it's he was a special dude, but not everyone is capable of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, not to compare Jesus to Tupac, but it's the same kind of thing.
Same guy. You're right. Same guy.
But to say that Jesus's legacy stood, or whatever you want to call it, stood the test till time till now.
Yeah, for sure.
Because what he did was so profound on this earth. And Tupac, what he did was so profound because he used this platform, for a majority of it, was to give people consciousness and awareness about how they were living, how the communities were living, how society was living as a whole, whether it came from the ghettos to politics and the people at the White House. He had a lot of good perspective on what was happening in the world and the communities itself.
Yeah.
So that was a huge part of it. He used what he had for positive. He obviously used it in negative ways too, but the positive outweighed the negatives he was doing.
So here's a question, right, too, about success. How important is your legacy? You know what I mean? Like, does that matter? And then what is your legacy based on?
I don't know, man. So Vikings, like, didn't give a fuck, right? Like, I'm going to die today, like, type mentality. Like, I mean, like, fuck it, bro. Like, yeah. I'm going to, like, do this.
Well, they had Valhalla.
Who
they had Valhalla.
Who's that?
Valhalla's their heaven. They had to die.
Oh, they had that?
Because if you don't die in combat, you have to wait. You have to sit at the kid table at Valhalla.
So that's why they were so into it?
Yes, bro. Fuck yeah, dude. Yeah, they were like, I hope this motherfucker stabs me in the neck because I'm hungry and I want some elk meat.
So these guys legitimately had something that they believed in. That's why they were so...
Yes, vision and purpose, belief in a higher power, because they truly believed that when they died, they would go to Valhalla. And these type of ideas, this heaven idea, exists obviously in every religion and culture, right?
What dumbasses.
Worked for them. Yeah. If you were an old Viking, you were like a piece of shit. You hated yourself. You're like, sorry, I keep shitting everywhere. I should have died in that battle. They're like, it's all right, Ragnar. And he's like, no, it's not fucking okay.
That's the whole thing with legacy. Is that if it's like somebody told you, if like God was like, listen, bro, you're gonna be the biggest thing.
Like that? Hey, dude, it's God. It's me, God.
Well, sometimes I think Nick is Jesus Christ. I don't know.
Might be.
But if God did come down and tell you straight up, like, you know, you're gonna die, but it's gonna be for a bigger cause, most people wouldn't do it still. Like if God was like, dude, this is gonna change the entire world for the better, it's gonna end world hunger, you still wouldn't say yes to God telling you have to die at that moment.
Right, and then you know what happens to the people who don't walk with their purpose is like they get fucked up in life.
Yeah.
And that happens to everybody everywhere. So if God himself, and people have these type of mindset, and again, it's like when you talk about passion or the feeling, like when I had with drums, where I was like, I don't know what this feeling is, but it changed everything, and I'm going to keep doing this, and I don't know why, right? When you get that feeling, you should keep doing that. Because that, in my opinion, is God speaking to you. He's showing you something, and obviously God doesn't come down. That's my girlfriend calling. I told her where I was.
What were you saying, Rose? You were saying something about dying, and if
so
you
if
don't
God,
die the way you're supposed to die?
No, if God speaks to you and you have a level of purpose and you feel it and you ignore it and you walk the other way, I forgot what the biblical story was, but it was like, it might have been, it was either Moses or Noah, and it was whoever got Jonah eaten by the whale. Yeah, it's like God tells him to go to the city and like tell people shit, and then I'm butchering the fuck out of this, but then he doesn't want to do it, and then he goes on a boat, and then the waters come up and it's fucking up, and all the sailors are like, who pissed God off? And he was like, I pissed God off, my bad. So they threw him overboard, and then he's in the water of the ocean in these rapid waves, and then a whale comes up from the fucking ocean and eats him, and now he's in the belly of the whale, and then he agrees to God that he's going to do the thing he told him he was going to do, so the whale comes to shore and spits him out right exactly where he needs to be to do the thing. And that's an analogy. Obviously, I'm not like a Christian fundamentalist. I'm not like that happened, but that is true in life, where it's like if you walk away from the thing that God is telling you to do, things will be bad for you. And everybody who has a failed dream that they gave up on under the idea of rationality and being responsible and doing the right thing knows exactly what the fuck I'm talking about, because you will not recover from that. You are living in hell. You are and there is no way out now. You better find a way to turn around and walk that way that you're supposed to fucking walk, come hell or high water, which is why, I continue to walk down my path, because I know that every time I turn my back from it, or every time I try to turn my back from it, I get, and I don't mean this, I'm not exaggerating, I get suicidally depressed, which is a blessing because I don't have the choice. I don't have the choice. A lot of people think they have the choice to follow their passion. You don't have a choice. Here's your choice. You either go through the hard shit of being the person you're supposed to be, or you die as a person you're not supposed to be, unfulfilled with a wasted life. And the worst thing you could possibly do is waste your life. You know how precious life is? And you have one? You know the odds of even being born? The fact that you have a consciousness, the fact that you can make your own choices, and if by the grace of God you're in a country where you can say what you think, and all this technology exists and you have access to it, and you're gonna fucking be the best rapper ever but not try, you deserve to be slaving away at a job you fucking hate until you can't slave anymore and you turn and you go back to rapping or doing whatever the fuck. I get mad about this shit because it's true, bro. It's like, and most people, 90% of people don't have the courage. Just flat out. They don't. It's not that people don't know, because they do know, because their conscience talks to them. It's not that they're not good, because they are, right? It's that they don't have the courage. Right? And courage, bravery is doing something even though you're afraid of it. And that's why we look up to all of these successful stars and entertainers and they all say the same shit, bro. What is Mamba mentality? It's fucking that with Kobe. You know what I mean? It's like he spent all that time working on his shit because he had to, not because he wanted to. He didn't have a fucking choice. And he became Kobe. He wasn't Kobe. He became Kobe. Kobe was born a man like everybody else with the same situations, mental problems, psyche, all that shit. But the people who choose in that idea of walking with God, the people who choose to listen to that voice, walk with God, even though it's something you do not want to fucking do and you fucking hate it, you better do it, because the alternative is you're fucked flat out. And that's that.
That's it takes me back to when I was drinking and I was sitting on the couch, like I said earlier, and I knew what I had to do, and I was like, I can do it whenever. I'll just keep drinking, and like that's what happened. It was almost like, well, now that path that you were naturally being propelled to, now that you jumped off that ship and you went to a different direction, now you're gonna go through a lot of shit to get where you were supposed to get anyway. You could have just made it the easy way and just stayed focused and devoted. And the real word is really devotion, because once you stay devoted to something,
yes, commitment.
Whether the stuff sucks or it's a great day or a sucky day doing it, that's what gets you to become a Kobe, like you said.
Right.
You're doing all the stuff that sucks, man, or whatever, maybe handing it, but it takes you to a position where I'm sure before Kobe passed away, his life was, I'm sure inside he felt a sense of easefulness in his life to some degree.
Yeah.
Because he was disciplined. When you're not disciplined, obviously, more than likely you're going to have a lot of anxiety, because when you're constantly shifting ideas, knowing what you're supposed to do and not doing it, you build like that natural guilt inside of you, and you know you're not progressing as a human being, so it just makes you feel more guilty, more anxious, and more guilty and more anxious.
And people ignore that.
I liked it, and I think that's why I did it, because I was kind of like that. I was kind of that drunk that was like, I liked the story of being a drunk. I liked it, dude. I liked the whole thing of it. Like, I'm irresponsible. I'm like, fucking, I'm wild. I'm out of control. This and that. I'm like going crazy. And I'm like, I liked it. And I liked that alcohol gave me like the confidence to not pay attention to what the fuck I was doing in my life. It was fucking sick, dude. I missed that shit. I'm not gonna lie. But, you know, where did it end up taking me? Made me end up taking away. Think about it like this. Yeah, I've been in production for a long time, and I don't consider this success totally, because I know where I could have been if I had just had paid attention. I made a story post one time, like a few months ago. I said, if I wasn't an alcoholic, you guys would all be fucked. Like, I would have been the biggest fucking thing. Not fuck Detroit. I would have been the biggest thing in Michigan if I wasn't an alcoholic.
We all have an Achilles heel, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
so not staying on course, not naturally taking me with God. It's like, dude, this way, or like easily, bro. Just walk right through. I was like, I'll do it when I want to do it. I used to tell people like, I used to tell people I was a lottery ticket. I was like, I'm a fucking lottery ticket, dude, because I'm gonna be fucking rich one day. Like, I got to decide when I want to fucking scratch off the fucking numbers. Like, I get to do that. But then one day, I realized I was working at Jet's Pizza. Was delivering a fucking pizza to some guy's house. And I got to the guy's house. I got up to the door, knocked on it. He opened the door. I opened the bag up for the pizza and realized there was no fucking pizza in the bag. I was like, I'm a fucking loser. So it came to
You're
that
a
point.
pizza man without a pizza even?
Yeah, I had no fucking pizza. So I was sitting there like, dude, Lawrence, like, I just said my fucking real name. That's crazy. First time.
Oh, wow.
I said, like, you're a fucking... I was like, you're a fucking loser. I was like, dude, seriously, like, look at your life right now. You're fucking a delivery guy with no pizza. You're a fucking loser. Like, come on, man. So I'm sitting here thinking about this, and then I realized, like, wow, all these years of drinking, all these years of screwing around led me to this point at this guy's doorstep, and I still think I'm sweet at life. I'm still like, no, man, you fucking suck. You do nothing with your life. So then I was like, dude, I kind of got lucky. That's why I say I got lucky. When I say the day I started working with Sada, it was lucky. The reason it was lucky is because of the fact that my life, like, I never learned to stop making bad decisions until that point. Like, I kept making bad decisions with my life until that day. Because once I had that opportunity with Sada, I was like, I'm never going to go back to the ways of just messing my life up. I was like, this feels like my last chance to actually do something and do it the right way. Like, start a business, build on it, grow it, pay attention to it, make sure that I actually end up doing something with my life. I was like, this for sure is my last chance. I was like, this is it. Like, if I don't do it now, I'm just going to go have a family and just be like laughing at my kids doing stupid stuff all day. Like, go put that chair down. Like, that's who I'm going to be. Like,
whoa,
like,
for a second I thought you had kids. That was spot on. I say that to my kids. Put that chair down.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if I, in retrospect, dude, if I had not got off that fucking couch, didn't drink, stayed focused on film production, I would have been in Hollywood. I would be in Hollywood. I would have been a humongous director, and then I also would have like splurged that into comedy like Key and Peele did. I would have done the same thing. They took
your life.
Yeah, I would have done the same thing Key and Peele did. The same exact thing. Fucking shoot movies, make fucking be in the movies, do some acting show on Comedy Central. Same fucking skill. Like, it was already in my mind. Like, I had it all played out, dude.
But you don't know if that is the best outcome for you. You know, I had a thought the other day. I'm 32, right? If my life was on a clock, it would be like 11 a.m.
What do you mean?
Like if you take the age of a human being, like 80 years.
Whew.
You know what I mean? And so, like, if you want to count my time on the clock, it's like if midnight is death, it's like 11 a.m.
Yeah.
You know, there is no telling that would have been the best thing to happen to you. That could have amplified your alcoholism. That could have had you meet the wrong person and get the wrong person pregnant.
Well, you don't understand, though, because think about it like this. If at that point, like we're talking about God making it easy for you to know what direction to go into and propel into, and we're talking about God, I'm not talking about literally God. I'm just saying like your life energies and forces kind of tell you which direction to go in.
I'll talk about God literally.
You can talk about God
but
later.
You're talking about energy and forces. Same guy, by the way.
Yeah, same guy.
Yeah.
So those forces are basically easily trying to take you in one direction and you go opposed to it. That's why I brought up the factor of like knowing that probably was the best route for me to do. I know it, dude, in my heart I know it. Like you could say whatever you want to say, like maybe if you went in that direction you would have, but I know if I just didn't drink at that time in my life and I just stayed focused on video production and production, I would have been fucking absolutely fine. Because the fact that the reason I didn't do it was a conscious decision is why I know that. If it was an unconscious decision, I would be like, hey, maybe you're right. But I consciously sat on the couch with literally a Seagram's gin, Seagram 7.
Yeah.
And I would drink it and be like, dude, I know I could blow up. I'll just do it when I want to. I'm not going to do it now. I'm not. Because I know what that means. I know that if I decide to go to Hollywood, that I have to start waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I have to start working out. I have to start writing every single day. I have to start making networks. I have to start connecting. I have to start building my own following. I have to start going to freaking casting calls. I have to start going to auditions. I have to start going to places I don't want to be at. And I knew the whole responsibility factor in doing
You're really
this stuff.
making me want to do that.
Yeah, and then I literally sat there. I was like, I don't want to do any of that. Like now, I'll do that when I want to do it. So that's why I would drink, because I knew it was an avoidant. And alcohol is so powerful that it makes your ambitious seem like not a big deal to give up. You're like, I don't care.
That is a good reason for you to not drink. I think that is one of the.
But I found a balance now.
Okay, well, you know, like I said, just take it seriously. No, but that's the thing, right? That's the thing about walking with God, right? Is something Mike Tyson said is God punishes you by giving you what you want, and that's exactly what happened to me with Bankrose. Is because like I alluded to, vindictive was the thing that pushed me up, but it was the worst thing that ever happened because that was the spark that cascaded down into fame, into me not handling the fame, into me having a community that was dope, and then removing myself from that, and then removing myself from the pressure, removing myself from the internet. And you talked to me when I was fucked up mentally. I was not the same person. You were like, Rose, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, oh no. It was like I was a half version of myself, and it got all the way to the point where I had to leave. And it's like, and I left. Not in the best way possible, but it was one of those things where I had to leave. I had to abandon everything that I thought was good for me and leave because I had hyper success early. I had all the money and clientele, and then I fucked it up, and I fucked it up, and I fucked it up. And that's on me. I fucked it all up. But the reason I fucked it up was because I did not have the skill set, mental or technical or otherwise, to handle the job that was thrown to me. So God punishes you by giving you what you want. And I got what I want, found out a couple of those things were not what I wanted. And now the things that I know I want out of that experience, I'm going to triple down on and focus on. And now I'm going to earn them because I earned it by keeping it, but I didn't earn the huge push that Vindictive gave me. That was like some humbug in the same way you talk about Sada. Yeah. That could have been anybody. That could have been any videographer. Period. Flat the fuck out. But it happened to be me. And then, but you have to, that's why you have to take the idea that God is good, right? Because people who don't take the mindset that God is good, they look at halftime like it's the end of the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so if you don't think that God is good, you think he's punishing you, but God is punishing you in the same way that, and that's why the father is the good reference, in the same way that a father punishes their child so they don't do bad shit. Because, and I think about it like this. I said this something like this in AA when I was in AA is I was thinking about alcohol in the sense of God sees like the past, the present, the future, the multiple timelines, and what could be if I just quit. And I can't. In the same way that when my daughter, who was 3 at the time, runs into the street to get the ball, she doesn't see the cars. She doesn't understand the danger. She doesn't know anything bad's going to happen. It's beyond her comprehension. She doesn't know what it even means to get smacked by a car. right? She has no concept of that. All she knows is the ball is there and I'm going to get it. And me being her father, I see her running into the street, and every father or mother is going to go. It goes Raven Simone right into my eye, and me at her fucking funeral in a flash. And my impulse comes in. I'm like, don't run in the street, cussing at a 3-year-old, fucking piece of shit, beating her ass, boom, boom, boom. Yelling at her. You want to get? I literally I'm like, you want to get smacked by a car? Because that happened. I'm like, you want to get smacked by a car? She's like, what's happening? She doesn't know. So in the same way, right, where you have to take the mindset that, if God is pulling you this way and telling you, if you have an inkling, like, because obviously you have an inkling you should quit drinking, stop trying to figure out why you have the inkling. And just understand that this God that you automatically have to say is good and knows more than you, sees that is a car coming down the street and all you care about is getting the ball.
Yeah.
And you have to look at it that way. And if you don't look at it that way, that's how people get smacked and die and fart in the middle of the street.
It's very, very compelling on to getting me to quit drinking, but not good enough.
No. Listen, you will listen. I'm not even here. You will get it in your own time. You'll get it in your own time. But again, it's like, not to even belabor the point, but you don't even need to put so much pressure on yourself. I honestly think, just in your position, you're not a raging alcoholic where you crack a beer and you're gone for 3 fucking days. That's not.
It just takes away my sleep, which is a big deal. But it's like, kind of, you're sitting there and you're like, okay, without this, I grow stronger. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I mean,
well, I'm gonna tell you this. Today was my first day of working out. Excuse me, I keep burping. It was a 20-minute calisthenic video and I almost died. It took me 4 months to do that 20 minutes. I'm not sitting here saying that I do all the things I know, because the knowledge of it is the first step. And now you have to fight all your other demons that are battling for headspace and rationalizing your bullshit behavior. This is why we use the term demons and devils. You got to get the devils off your back. That's a devil on your back, right? That's a monkey on your back. That's the devil trying to lure you. That's why we use these phrases, is because it's taking you away from the truth. And it doesn't matter, because you have a million excuses, but there's only one truth. And that's the fucked up thing about truth, is there's only one and you have to follow it. You don't, because if you choose this other shit, but eventually, I'm not telling you that's a good enough reason. The knowledge that is the reason to do it, because the devils are very tempting. Obviously, you have to, and this is why it's important to get to know your demons and not run from them and look at them in the face and kind of make if not friends, peace with your devils. And by that I mean, this guy, like you said on Reddit, who was like, yeah, I quit for 26 years. I miss that shit every day, bro. I used to throw a spiral so fucking far, type shit. He's made peace with that devil. He's still in the room. He's just cool. He's there.
That's fucked up.
No, it is fucked up, but that's.
I wonder if my sex addict personality will disappear too. That'd be fire.
Maybe they're cousins. The drinking and the sex addict.
It could be from the same like fucking puppet master.
Yeah,
like sex and alcohol is like the same thing.
Yeah, dude. Liquid sex. That should be your vodka brand.
Dude, that's actually really good.
Yeah, liquid sexahol. Yeah.
Just pour it all over yourself.
Get L'd.
I'm gonna ask you about
all over yourself. That's the slogan. Just pour it all over yourself.
Have you seen what the people are doing now? That it's like a competition at the strip clubs. It's
the bottle fucking.
Who can pour out? Yeah, you dump your.
Yeah, so I made a comment that it was there is no way that club owners are not taking all of the liquor and replacing it with water and food coloring so they could double dip on the shots.
They have to be.
That, bro, like that is the level of bullshit to get you there to where you have to be in a room full of people literally pouring your money out is high level insanity.
When I drink a lot, I will make decisions like that in particular. Like I'll give out $100 tips when I literally cannot live a lifestyle of giving out a $100 tip, but I'll do it. Like, you're a good guy. I'll put it on. Like, dude, I just got you water. Relax. Like, literally, legitimately, like I'll just be like, I can't.
Yeah.
So like I get that one. Like these guys probably have like $1 million sitting in. Like, Don Julio's down the drain, but like, it's like a weird. It's like there's cooler ways of doing it. That's just like the funniest way of getting yourself on Instagram, is to do it that way though.
Yeah.
But there's cooler ways of showing like how much money you have that will be more influential than pouring out a bottle of Don Julio.
Yeah. I kind of disagree with the thesis of even showing how much money you have.
You don't like showing how much money you have?
No, I mean, us in the entertainment industry, like you have to have some shit for a level of success. I will argue that point. It depends on the market you're in, but generally speaking, you have to have some level of fashion sense at least. to kind of show that you have a modicum of success or whatever. That's just part of the lifestyle. But in real life, like if I was not in this business and I was like a regular businessman, like maybe I had like a construction company, I wouldn't give a fuck about Off-White. I wouldn't give a fuck about having a nice car.
Yeah, dude, no, nobody gives a fuck about any of that shit. I've met millionaires that don't like wearing anything but what's comfortable. And
Right, well, there is, and you know what, people don't put those things together where it's like the millionaire doesn't care and that's why they're a millionaire. It's not that this particular millionaire doesn't care, it's that he doesn't have the desire to show out.
Yeah,
you know?
I was watching something about Bill Gates where he talked about, they asked him, like, how do you keep your day so organized? And he said, like, I have 5 shirts.
Yeah.
So that way when I go in my closet, I'm not spending all day looking for what shirt to wear.
Right.
I did that before I got here. I was like, what should I wear today, bro? And that literally killed 30 minutes of my time. I was like, I'm a fucking dumbass, dude. Who gives a fuck what the fuck I'm wearing?
Yeah.
Well, I guess apparently like thousands of people do. Whatever I wear is like a big thing. So, like, pay attention to the guys who you think are sweet. Why? If you don't think I'm sweet, it's like, why are you paying attention to my fucking forces? Dude, if I have one little bend in my forces, it's like, oh, kiddo, you're disrespecting this culture. Like, oh my God, what's happening right now? But you know what? I started, you know what was kind of cool about it? The bigger I was getting in the city was that, like, I started realizing, oh, you're a representation of this community and the culture.
For sure, yeah.
So when other cities and other places are seeing you, it's almost like, oh, like, you're a representative of Detroit. Okay, you look great. But then when they would see me wear like fucking Walmart fucking grade bullshit, it was like, I used to dress like shit, bro. Remember how bad I used to dress? I used to dress like a fucking like. I have to bleep out that word, but I used to dress fucking stupid. And then one day I was like, oh, like, you do have to kind of represent what you're a part of to some degree.
Yeah, you should, but you should like what you wear. It's like all of these things. Right, yeah, so it's like if you're comfortable in that, it's like I still dictate, triple down on exactly who you are, right? But obviously throw some, because you are part of the culture genuinely. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here as a representative of the culture. You're here authentically, right? Like you like the culture. So there are things about the culture you like and embrace. So naturally, you're going to incorporate a level of fashion, but then that's dictated by your actual opinions on fashion itself. Because a lot of people will be like, he creased his fucking shoes, so he doesn't like the culture. It's like, no, I don't like fashion. Yeah. Can I not like fashion that much? You know what I mean?
Now I'm getting into it like James Bond. Like a huge story behind James Bond is when he was growing up, he grew up like in an orphanage and he was poor and he didn't have clothes, and so that's why when he became James Bond, he like started suiting up and looking all freaking presentable all the time and stuff.
That's not their uniform?
Huh?
That's not an issue. No, that's not a standard issue.
Whoever the James Bond is.
005 wears beach volleyball shorts.
Maybe like from like the beginning to like the 90s, but once like I think Daniel Craig really changed it all. Daniel Craig, the last James Bond, he was the one who really changed like the complete fashion sense of it. But I was gonna ask you something, man. That's more important than all this shit.
I think this is important.
No, it's not.
We talked about walking with God in your path, increasing your shoes. You piece of fucking shit. I see it. I see it forming.
Oh yeah, it's happening slowly.
You really don't care about the culture, bro.
Man, like I'm starting to like Air Forces a lot. That's for sure.
No, this is the perfect shoe. It really truly is.
I was gonna ask you something important, bro. It's kind of bothering me that I can't remember what the hell it was, man.
You'll remember right when the cameras are off.
Oh yeah. I was gonna ask you. So you worked with Papa, man.
Yes.
Papa is a huge like mystery. But I don't even want to get too much into Papa. I just wanted to mention that you worked with him because it is interesting to see how he really broke the mold and really changed things without being too much, like, the awareness of it from the community isn't too aware of how much impact he actually had, because what he was doing was completely different.
And still what he does is completely different
from the last music?
Well, I haven't seen him in 2-3 years.
Yeah.
But I technically had him under paperwork for management.
Really?
Yeah, I do. And there's a story. So he's an addict very badly, and so I had a budget. This was when he was going to be my investment as like management and like building shit up around an artist, because I still firmly believe that if Papa could get clean, he would be, and I don't mean this I don't mean this lightly, he would be bigger than Young Thug.
You think Papa would be bigger than Young Thug?
Yes. Papa is, I don't want to talk too much about him on this much of a public way, but his creativity, the way he pieces shit together, the way he records, this is what he does. He goes into the booth. He doesn't even face the fucking... Actually, I'm sorry. He comes in and then he finds the vibe of the space. Then we put the mic where the vibe of the space is. Then we make sure we loaded up 10 beats before he got there, because you're going to flip sessions. He goes in, he listens to it. he runs to the mic and starts rapping. If you do not hit record, that is lost forever. Okay? And he raps until he vibes, right? Boom, boom, boom. Sometimes he'll get a whole fucking take, start the goddamn finish, whole fucking song. And it's exactly what you hear, right? So he's the level of creativity he has. He's a template for, and I'll give this to artists too, the people who have the shortest distance from their thought to their mouth are the best artists, because somewhere in here is all of your judgment and insecurity and ego and bullshit. But if you can get from here, and I would even say to your subconscious, if you can get your subconscious art part of what you're trying to say, your messaging, your vibe, your feeling, and you just get that out as quickly as possible without it hitting this bullshit, then that person is a star naturally. And that's what Papa is. And I've seen him do wild, crazy, outlandish, artsy, perfect, imperfect songs that are just so good, dude.
What do you think stopped him?
His addiction, his drugs. He can't get his feet on the ground, you know. And like I had $3,000 from like COVID and like unemployment or whatever when I was getting that money, and I put it to the side and I was like, I'm gonna do this, and like me being dumb and not being a manager and trying to be accommodating, he basically nickel and dime me like $20, all of that 3 racks down. We got an album done and made and put it out. With the beats and all that shit, and I got one video shot for him that I didn't even get back from the videographer because it was already over, where he would literally nickel and dime me for dope. And it's like, and here's the thing, right, that I get saddened about, because I know him, right? And it's like when he goes viral, because he always has these crazy viral moments, but it's always him fucked up, right? And it's like people are like laughing basically at him. It's like, oh, he's a dope fiend. It's like, yeah, he is a dope fiend, but he's also a fucking genius. And that like, it hurts. And that it was my attempt in that was to get him to a place, because I felt like if I could have control of the content and the money, and I could just guard that, and I had the bank account, and I could get it up to a point where he had no control of any of that, and I had all the control, and I could just kind of give him a salary, and he doesn't have to be fucking in the streets for real, homeless, strung out, then I could do that. And I obviously greatly I couldn't do it, obviously.
Well, it's difficult, like you said.
No, it's damn near fucking impossible. So this is the lesson I learned on this, is that don't invest in the potential, invest in the person standing right in front of you, because you can teach someone to be good over time, but you can't teach someone to go the right path. And I don't want to say it's the wrong path, like I blame him, because like the thing about addicts, bro, is like a lot of times it's not even in their control. You know what I mean? And so my heart is really heavy for him. But it's at a point where it's like I can't help him. You know what I mean? Like obviously I don't have contact with him. If he tried to get in contact with me, I would definitely keep distance, just because I can't help him. I just simply can't. So it's like I hope he's doing well, and I hope wherever he is, he's, you know, thriving, you know. But he really is a creative genius. Like really truly is a creative genius. And yeah, I mean, just because he's been gone, I don't know what the last thing he put out, because I know someone was managing him after me. He was on here, right?
Black Bottom Records.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't know what the end of that story was with them, you know.
Yeah, it was difficult. It was basically, it was still the same. He walked out of our interview because he had a dope episode, so it was kind of wild. And then he hit me up like 6 months later. Bro, I own this.
Do you see these?
All right, we'll close it out anyway. We'll get. I wanted to ask you one last question.
Yes.
So, obviously you exited Bankrose, right?
Yes.
So, the process of that into what you're doing right now, and where are you hoping to get?
The process of me leaving, I mean, I really just planned my escape and bailed. You know, so like I know I said a lot of negative shit about them over there, but there is a very good argument to be made that I betrayed them, so I just want to make that very clear. But you know, I felt like I had to go, and they're doing fine. I made sure that I didn't fuck them before I left, right? So it was really hard because, you know, there are a lot of things that I don't know, like the fundamentals of like business credit, you know, like properly filing an LLC, which I did this time with my other business when I incorporated it, because, you know, Kurt did that, or like, you know, basic like money management, taxes, these type of things, right? So we didn't have business credit for Bankrose. We really built that shit up from like the phone and booking and saving type shit, right? And then obviously COVID hit and that amplified because we were recipients of some of that money. So there was a point at Bankrose where shit hit the fan. Remember when everyone had money? It was like a Tuesday, and then Wednesday nobody fucking had money.
Yeah.
You remember that? So I went from $5,000 a month in my pocket take home to $1,000 instantly, and I suffered through that for like a year. And me being a dumbass, I just ran up my personal credit. Because I was like, it'll kick back. But again, this is in my flaw. This was like 2 years of me not posting shit online, right? And I could not will myself to do it for reasons that, I mean, it got to a point in there where it was suffocating me and it was crushing me. It was crushing my spirit. I knew I had to go. And I couldn't even will myself to say anything on the internet because I was so drained, and that happened for years and years and years. I figured out the root of that, sort of. I'm still working through that, but yeah, and then I just left. So I have all this debt, you know. Legally, there's a lot of shit still in my name over there that needs to get taken care of. You know, me and Kurt have, you know, when I left, we were in sort of communication, but it's, you know, he's not going to fuck me over or anything like that, as far as I know. And he hasn't thus far. So it's like, obviously I'm out of the accounts and all that type of shit, but I just walked away, you know, and so whatever they do with it, you know, I hope that they do something cool with it, but at the end of the day, it's like, you know, whatever they do is what they're going to do with it, you know, because I'm doing my own shit. Now, my own shit, I have no real intention of getting a studio in the same way as Bankrose, in the sense of I have employees and I'm like, la la la. I found out through Bankrose, like, there are flaws in my character that I don't want to correct, right? Which they're not necessarily flaws, but I don't want to be your boss. I can't deal with people who don't really want to do this shit, right? To a point where it's like, I'll just do this on my own, right? And it's like, there's a very, very small amount of people, but it's like, I'm not trying to build up a team and get engineers and run a studio. I fucking hated doing that. I figured out with engineering I'm Jordan, and I thought everyone could be Jordan, and that's not true, and that's across the board. If you're naturally good at something and you wonder why people around you don't understand, it's because you're Jordan of that thing, and they never will because you're good if you have that problem. Anyway, so I've stopped necessarily trying to do that, and now I'm solely focused on myself, my personal brand, and building that up, getting myself to a point where I'm doing things like these consultations. So me and my buddy Jace Preem, we started our own podcast called The Preem Pod. I'm going to plug it right here, right now. Boom, bada, bam. And we're just getting that rolling, and he's really funding this consulting business. I'm going to be a coach with his consulting business, and it's going to be like, you know, like direction with your rapping, like kind of the shit we touched on here, but like actual mentorship and contact with me and all that type of shit. So he's working on all that. That was actually a layup. That wasn't my idea. That was all him. Shout out Jay Supreme. So I'm going to do that. I'm also going to still engineer and then get to a point where the content is what's making me the money, and then triple down on doing content and make money off like YouTube streams and whatever albums I can put out, because I might come rapper 2024, who knows. And then, you know, and just try to document my life, because my life is interesting, figure out a way to, you know, magnify my personality, and just, and I don't really have like a timeline for that. You know what I mean? I'm out. I'm at a point where I'm kind of evening out with my debt, whereas before it was like crushing me and shit was fucked up. Now I'm evening it out. There's still some things that I can do, but I am on a course of in 6 months, one thing will be paid off that will change everything, right? Yeah. And then I'll be basically debt free, because again, the thing about struggle is I didn't really have, and I don't even want to say I didn't have financial literacy. I didn't have financial control in a sense. I just, like everyone else, I blew a fuckload of money when everyone had money. Because it was the first time I touched that, but now I never will, because now I know what it means to live, you know, in crippling debt. Like I pay an extra $1,200 a month in credit card debt, right? That does not go away, because they hit you with the interest immediately. So it's like you make a $200 payment, and they're like, thanks, you owe us $180 next month again on top of that. And that's the cycle of that. So I got to live through that. But yeah, but moving forward is like, I'm very optimistic. I'm still me. You know, I still have my connections. Again, it's like, I appreciate you for having me on here and you helping me through my shadow realm days. You know what I mean? And just offering olive branch and friendship and all that type of shit.
You're gonna
Support.
be fine. You're gonna be fucking
Right.
absolutely fine.
Yeah, because you saw that even when I was fucked up, and that's why again I appreciate it. Because
I appreciate you, man. Like it works, but like I said, man, from the beginning, like you were the first person to like really reach out, work with me, get me up to tune, up to speed. And,
I was the first person to reach out to you.
Oh man, you were like the first person that I was like, okay, I trust this motherfucker a lot right now because he's actually looking at me as a person, not just like what I'm trying to accomplish. And,
Right,
like,
not just a set of creased forces.
Yeah. But we're gonna have to do this again, bro. We're gonna have to do this again. I don't know what's going on out there, but
Trucks.
we gotta move.
Trucks and rain. We gotta move. We gotta get the fuck out of here.
We're gonna get you back on soon, though. But Rose, man, appreciate you being a part. Do you want people to know you as Rose still, or do you want?
Well, my Instagram is Rose the Engineer, but they're gonna know it from the tag. Yeah, so I mean, I'm Rose now. It's like whatever.
Okay,
you know, it's fine. Some people still call me Bank. Some people call me Rose. I mean, I am Rose. Like that's just what happened. There's an origin to that, but we'll get into that next time. But yeah, but I'm not. I'm not affiliated with Bankrose anymore. But I'm Rose, and so that's my name, and that's who I am.
My boy Rose was in the building. Legendary Talk. We'll get you back in again soon, man. We're at Parallel Sound Studio. Hala Visuals, Shootings Productions. We're out. Peace.